Dubai skyline. Iran has been launching drone attacks on Dubai through the night, and that video shows the Iranian drone inside the Dubai skyline. Satellite images accessed by NDTV show at least 2 separate fires in Dubai. Iran has been using drone strikes to hit critical ports and buildings in Dubai. The epitome of luxury and prosperity in the entire Middle East struck multiple times in the last 3 days. Meanwhile, anti-US protests continue to rage across several countries. In Baghdad, the videos that you see right now on your screens, viewers, are of protests in Baghdad in support of Khamenei that turned violent. There were similar protests in other countries as well. And that's the latest video that we have of the protests in Karachi that turned violent. That shows US personnel opening fire on protesters who tried to storm the consulate after Khamenei's killing. The casualty figure, the death toll, has actually risen sharply. Close to 10 people are reportedly dead, even as the figure for grievously injured has climbed up. What is the wall? All right, now let's tell you exactly where all the strikes have taken place in Iran. We've got those covered to tell you where all the specific areas where strikes have taken place. That is Tabriz, Sahad, Kermanshah, Khomein, Minab. Minab is where the school was actually hit earlier, where Iran said that the casualty figure, the death toll of young school kids is upwards of 100, and then in Konak as well. Those are the areas where you can see the multiple strikes taking place, all of which essentially aimed to focus on big cities, hubs, also target areas which with significant infrastructure, government, military infrastructure. All of them have been targeted, and it's across the board that you can see where the strikes have taken place. The situation continues to remain volatile, and some of these are very large cities with very large government infrastructure as well. In the last 3 days, several other cities have also been struck, including Isfahan, where the Iranian nuclear facility has been kept. In fact, senior officials of the Iranian terror regime that were eliminated by the IDF, we also have details of who all have been eliminated. The supreme leader of Iran, which is Ali Khamenei, was eliminated. Next was the Iranian chief of staff, Abdul Rahim Mousavi. Then other senior officials of Iran that have been eliminated include the Iranian chief of staff. Then there's Mohammad Hossein Bahrain, who's also been eliminated as well. That is the top leadership of Iran that has been eliminated. You can see that entire flowchart from all the way from the supreme leader to several others also who have been eliminated. That includes the IRGC commander-in-chief, the defense minister, key personnel, and some of them involved in Iran's security strategic roadmap. Some of them actually were involved in the ballistic missile production lineup and the future tactical decisions that they had to make, all of course leading and reporting to the religious leader, the supreme leader Khamenei as well. And those are some of the key leadership. As far as Donald Trump has said, he has said that the figure actually stands at 48, which means 48 top leaders of Iran have been completely eliminated. Some of those are what we are telling you right now, and some of them happened in the last couple of months as well. Arjun joins me for more on this. But before that, I want to address some more news that's coming in, and then we get in Arjun for an update. All right. The latest update that we have is that the chief of Hezbollah's parliamentary faction, that is Mohammad Raad, was killed during the IDF strikes on Hezbollah targets in Beirut and southern Lebanon. So very key personnel in the top leadership of Hezbollah has been killed by Israel. Arjun, now this is significant. This is extremely important. This comes in after Israel has said that we've been able to eliminate central leadership of Hezbollah.
Gauri, a major announcement, in fact, coming in from Israel, which is now claiming to have killed Hezbollah's parliamentary faction head, Mohammad Rad. And Mohammad Rad, mind you, was one of the top remaining functionaries of Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. Now, this killing, Israel says, came as part of its strikes on capital Beirut and other southern parts of Lebanon. Now, a very important thing about Mohammad Rad, I must mention here, he was personally appointed by Hassan Nasrallah, who was again killed by Israeli airstrikes in Lebanon, as his personal spokesperson, not one, not two, but multiple times on record. Mohammad Rad, the head of Hezbollah's parliamentary committee, was self-appointed multiple times himself by Hassan Nasrallah to be his his personal voice, someone who conveys Nasrallah's message to the rest of the Hezbollah cadre, not only in Lebanon, but also the cadre spread out in West Asia. So a major blow being dealt there to Hezbollah. One of its last surviving, must I say, tall leaders, Mohammad Rad, now in fact reportedly being killed as part of Israel's retaliatory airstrikes. Remember, these airstrikes were performed after Hezbollah fired a volley of rockets towards Israel, and in a retaliatory fire, Gauri, Israel took on parts of capital Beirut and southern Lebanon, from which we are now getting reports that the head of Hezbollah's parliamentary committee, Mohammad Rad, has finally been eliminated. Back to you. Okay, now this is extremely significant for our viewers tuning in right now. Let's tell them exactly what we are talking about. You are, there is this huge terror outfit, Hezbollah, which also struck Israel in the last 2 days, trying to open another front. Israel hit back. Massive strikes were held and led by Israel, and in those strikes a key member of Hezbollah's top leadership has been eliminated, in line with the Israeli message that came in a short while back, which said that a member of the central leadership of Hezbollah has been eliminated. We're going to connect with Mohammad Ghazali as well to really get a sense of where this is headed from here on. But any more details, Arjun, that you can share with us in terms of the significance of the elimination of someone like Mohammad Rad? What does it mean for Hezbollah? What does it mean for Hezbollah's ongoing and continuing war against Israel? Well, Mohammad Rad, as you clearly mentioned, was not only the head of Hezbollah's parliamentary committee. He was, in fact, also heading the support front for other Hezbollah cadres who still remain in Gaza, even after the ceasefire was announced. And very importantly here, Gauri, his own son, Abbas Rad, was also killed in similar Israeli airstrikes back in 2023. And I cannot emphasize one point enough, that Mohammad Rad was himself personally at multiple occasions, at multiple times, appointed Hassan Nasrallah's private spokesperson. Back to you. So major blow being dealt there to Hezbollah's remaining heads. Back to you.
And that, of course, is an extremely significant aspect, where Hezbollah joined in Iran in a war with the Israel conflict spreading to Lebanon, as the IDF strikes hit Hezbollah after the attack on Israel. Israel launched a barrage of strikes on Lebanon's capital, Beirut, after Hezbollah fired missiles across the border. Beirut's airport road also was destructed in the Israeli attacks, whereas people were seen fleeing Beirut's southern suburbs after Israeli strikes hit the area. Meanwhile, for the first time, Israel used iron beam to intercept rockets that were fired by Hezbollah. In a statement, Israel said that they have targeted senior Hezbollah figures in Beirut. And it's very important to understand that Hezbollah is also a very well-armed militia terror group. It has massive cadre, a very well-trained army, and huge weapon pile-up, all of which due to its linkages with Iran, it being part of the axis of resistance. If Israel is able to make massive dents into Hezbollah at a time when it's been able to eliminate the top leadership in Iran, it's going to have a decisive impact on the entire region from a security point of view. In fact, the big story that we are telling you viewers right now is the continuing escalation between Israel, US and Iran, which has intensified after the death of Iranian Supreme Leader Khamenei. A lot has been happening across the world in the backdrop of this escalation, and some of those visuals we are putting out to essentially tell you the story so far. First up, what you see right now, US President Donald Trump, who's made a big claim on Khamenei, saying that Iran tried to kill him twice and he got him before Iran could kill Donald Trump. That's a big statement coming in that 2 assassination attempts were made on Donald Trump, except that the US succeeded and Iran didn't. Conflict has spread to Lebanon as IDF strikes Hezbollah after attack on Israel. Israel has launched a barrage of strikes that you can see on your screens. Those are videos coming in of the multiple strikes on Lebanon's capital, Beirut, after Hezbollah fired missiles across the border. Hezbollah, remember, has a huge pileup of rockets that some of it it's used right now. Iran's retaliation with a fresh wave of missile attacks on Israel is what we are putting out right now. US military has claimed strikes on Iran's ballistic missile facilities, even as there's been an exchange of fire, and you can see some of those videos on your screens telling you that.
פה, רמת שלמה פה, כניסה לרמת שלמה פה.
هذا مات. هذول ماتوا بالسيارة.
All right, United States President Donald Trump has pledged to continue what he calls the righteous mission against Iran until all objectives are achieved, adding that there will likely be more US troop deaths in the process. He went on to say it's 3 deaths too many, but there is possibility of it going more, and that is extremely important for its larger impact back home in US politics. In the latest statement, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has said that Israel's military campaign against Iran is intensifying, following what he described as a decisive strike against the country's leadership, indicating that this campaign is going to continue, is going to escalate. It will not stop till Israel and US's objectives are met. And back home in India, Prime Minister Modi spoke with UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan amidst the escalating US-Iran tensions. Prime Minister Modi conveyed India's position, discussed the evolving regional security situation, even as India and UAE have a very warm, deep, strategic partnership in the region. Saudi Arabia and Jordan have both summoned Iranian ambassadors in their countries. This comes in the wake of what you see on your screens. Video after video of drone strikes on their countries. UAE has recalled its ambassador from Iran in the wake of multiple strikes on Abu Dhabi and Dubai. Earlier, Qatar and Kuwait had also summoned Iranian ambassadors over the attacks on their country. So that's the big diplomatic fallout that's taking place.
I didn't even finish my cup of tea.
More news coming in, and what you see on your screens is a fresh video that's coming of an inferno at the docks. This is a massive blaze that has broken out at a maritime facility near Key Panama port. following Iranian attack. There have been multiple strikes that have taken place in Bahrain. That's a video of an inferno, a massive blaze taking place in Manama port. That is a very critical port in Bahrain. Let's get in Mohammed Ghazali, who's been tracking the latest there. Now, Ghazali, this is another video that really shows the extent of damage that is being done by Iranian strikes on some of the other Gulf countries, particularly with regard to this video. First, walk our viewers through exactly the details that we have so far with regard to that blazing fire at the port in Bahrain.
See, this particular port in Bahrain, the Manama port has come under attack from the Iranians. Particularly why this is significant, as part of the retaliation from Iran. Iran is particularly targeting this port because it actually houses the maritime facility for the US Navy's 5th Fleet. Bahrain happens to be one of the closest ally of the United States in the Middle East. And another particular reason why Iran is targeting Bahrain is because there is a large Shiite population in Bahrain which has always been against the establishment. Since yesterday, there has been massive protest which is going on in Bahrain by the Shiite community after the killing of Ayatollah Khamenei, and that is why Bahrain is under attack from Iran for multiple reasons. One, because it is a very close ally of US, and why ports are getting attacked, because in the previous bulletin we just explained that how Iran has been targeting the entire maritime trade route, not just the Strait of Hormuz, which is under control of Iran, but its proxies are also blocking Gulf of Aden. As far as Houthis are concerned, they have threatened that they will block Gulf of Aden like what they did after Hamas attack into Israel back in 2023. And now this particular region in the West Asia, where Iran is also targeting all those ports which could be the possible route of IMEC corridor, a corridor which has been conceptualized by India, Israel, United States and other European countries, which has not been operational yet. But Dubai's Jebel Ali port, UAE's Jebel Ali port, and Bahrain's Manama port, these are some of the key ports which are essential for US fleet to move in that particular region. So that is why these ports have come under attack. Now, Iran's strategy over here is that they are not going to target civilian areas or establishments as much as they are targeting these maritime facilities, these ports and airspaces. And as you rightly pointed out, this is going to be a war of attrition. Every day, almost from now onwards, till we have negotiations or till both the parties, US, Oman and Iran, come back to the negotiating table, till then Iran will continue to will continue to strike these facilities in the entire region to put pressure on not just Gulf partners but also on the United States that come on the negotiating table and stop this attack on Iran or don't try for regime change. That has been the objective of this war, of this attack from US and Israel, but that doesn't look so as of now whether Iran is going to see a regime change in the next 24 hours.
Indeed, a regime change cannot happen till the time there are boots on ground. Only airstrikes have never led to a regime change, which is why it remains to be seen how it pans out from here. Thanks much, Ghazali, for bringing us up to speed with that big story. In fact, viewers, at least 9 people have been killed in the Iran missile attack on Israel's Beit Shemesh. The missile struck a residential area in the city, destroying a synagogue and causing extensive damage to a public bomb shelter and surrounding homes as well. Those videos that we put that you can see on your screens tell you exactly the extent of the damage that has been there. This report tells you more.
The toll of conflict in Israel. An Iranian missile dodged the country's famed Iron Dome and landed in the central Israeli city of Beit Shemesh. Israelis have been living between their homes and bomb shelters since Saturday morning when the US and Israel launched their deadly attack on Iran, killing Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei and wiping almost all of its top leadership. Bomb sirens continued to blare through Sunday across Israel as its defense system intercepted a barrage of missiles from Iran in retaliatory strikes. As Iran intensified its attack on Sunday after confirmation of Khamenei's death. One such missile fire was caught live on NDTV's camera in the Tel Aviv neighborhood as our correspondent made his way to a bomb shelter.
There's a fresh missile that has come in right behind me. Here you can see the missile being neutralized. This is the Iron Dome and of course the air defense mechanism that is at play. There is siren going all across, but on NDTV you can see live these missiles being neutralized.
The city of Bet Shemesh came under attack. Videos showed missiles in the sky being intercepted by the Iron Dome. But soon, one went past and landed on Bet Shemesh, leading to large-scale devastation. At least 9 people have been reported dead in the strike and many have been injured. This takes the toll on the Israeli side to 10. Videos showed rescue workers sifting through the debris and rushing the injured, including children, to hospital. According to Israeli media, the missile hit a safe room. The Israeli agencies are probing the missile attack. An NDTV Bureau report.
More news coming in. Fresh videos that have been released by the Israeli Defense Forces. That is the footage of a strike on air defense systems in Tehran. That's the fresh visuals and the footage that IDF has released. Yet another instance, yet another video that tells the strikes that were held on the air defense systems in Tehran. Now, Iran has put in place, and in fact, it has bought the Chinese air defense systems, HQ-9, which did not do its magic. And one saw that as well when the strikes were decapitation strike, took down the entire compound of Khamenei in less than 2 seconds. And that yet another video that has been released is about the air defense systems in Tehran, which frankly were not effective at all. This is the second time the Chinese air defense system HQ-9 has been used and has been proven to be completely ineffective. Let's get in Arjun for more on this. Arjun, first of all, share with us the details exactly that IDF has put out in that video, and then we tell our viewers the significance of it as well.
Well, the video that the IDF has just put out mentions multiple explosions taking place across IRGC site on Sunday evening. Now, these are missile facilities that the Israeli armed forces have struck in capital Tehran. These missile facilities, we're getting to learn, were in the southern part of capital Tehran, where air defense systems have also, in fact, been struck by Israel. Now, this is the latest video, Gauri, in a string of videos that have been released by Israeli forces, not only hitting Tehran, but we just saw also hitting Lebanon, among other sectors that
Okay, turning attention now to visuals that we are putting out right now that you can see on your screens. Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Mark Carney. Prime Minister Mark Carney is on his first official visit to India. Remember, ties between India and Canada have been on the path to recovery ever since Prime Minister Mark Carney came to power last year in April. When he met Prime Minister Modi at the G7 summit last year, the effort was to rebuild, to ensure that the relationship is able to now recover from the lows it saw during Justin Trudeau's tenure. Now, on agenda are two very clear set of items. First and foremost, the strategic rebuilding of the partnership comes at a very critical time where Canada itself is at the receiving end of massive headwinds from Donald Trump and America. The second very important aspect is this also comes at a time when trade is going to be extremely significant. Mark Carney's first leg of the tour was in Mumbai, where he met senior CEOs and top industry leaders, both from India and Canada. So he met India Inc., the who's who of India Inc., along with top leaders from Canada who had come. There is a $2 billion deal that is likely to be signed between India and Canada with regard to critical minerals. Let's get in Vishal for more on this. Vishal, now trade, strategic partnership, energy, AI, all on the table as the two prime ministers look to rebuild the relationship.
Yes, Gauri, and rebuild is the key word here because, we've been talking throughout that the ties were at an all-time low just not too long ago, about a year ago. But in came Mark Carney and he has, totally flipped the script. And of course, it has taken, cooperation from both the sides to, reinvigorate and, consolidate the partnership. And that is showing we'll have some big agreements that will be announced in a few hours from now. We'll have some memorandums of understanding that will be signed. They will be on the lines of AI, they will be on the lines of innovation, a uranium deal that we've been talking about for years now, that could be finalized. And the FTA, the free trade agreement that seemed to have been derailed, that was derailed indeed, that could also be on track. And these are some of the details that we've picked up, but we'll have the details of the MOUs in about an hour and a half when the signing takes place. But some of the expected outcomes of the big meet between both the prime ministers is that there will be a formal revival of the FTA negotiations and a conclusion of a long-time uranium supply agreement that I was talking about. There will be cooperation on research, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, education. These are some of the reports that we've collected in the last few days. And trade opportunities pertaining to nuclear power, oil and critical minerals is what we're picking up that could be signed. Because critical minerals, Gauri, seem to be at the center of everything nowadays, be it semiconductors, be it high-end chips that seem to fire AI across the globe, the data centers. Critical minerals is the word that leaders on across the spectrum talk about. So there will be some agreement on that as well. So we'll have to wait as to what are the exact wordings of the agreement.
Now, the two leaders did meet last year in Canada when the G7 summit was held there. Prime Minister Modi was invited. And then, of course, later in Johannesburg as well in November. So they've been able to sort of connect even as the focus remains on rebuilding the tie-up. There's more news coming in. Let's address that as well. Several missiles have been intercepted over Tel Aviv. That's the latest update that we are picking up right now, that early in the morning, more missiles have been intercepted over Tel Aviv, which means Iran has fired fresh strikes on Tel Aviv. And sirens that you can hear in these videos have been blazing across Tel Aviv. Those are fresh visuals that we are getting for you viewers that show that the strikes and the missiles that were fired by Iran have been intercepted over both Tel Aviv as well as Jerusalem. We're going to connect with my colleague Aditya Rajkal in just a bit. He's in fact in Israel, and he's the only Indian journalist who's there covering this war firsthand for NDTV network. And what you see on your screens are those latest visuals that is coming in. It's day 3 of the conflict. Fresh missiles being fired by Iran, even as the commentary coming in from the Iranian top leadership is very clear. No negotiations. We do not want to negotiate. We have no intentions of negotiations whatsoever. More missiles that you can see over Jerusalem's skyline being intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome. But what you hear right now, viewers, if you're tuning in, are those sirens that are blazing, where citizens are told, go under a bomb shelter, hide under a bomb shelter. They are given those messages on their phones as well, that immediately rush to the nearest bomb shelter that you have. One may think that, it's part of the course, but that's what it is like to actually be in the middle of a war zone. This is what being in the middle of a war zone really is all about. Aditya joins us more on this. Aditya, I can hear the sirens that are blazing, fresh missiles that have been fired. Fill us in. What's really happening on ground?
Well, it's the beginning of the third day. It's a little after 7 a.m. this morning, Gauri, and we are reporting live here on NDTV from Tel Aviv. There have been several sirens that have gone across the city of Tel Aviv, also Jerusalem. What I'm being told now is that several missiles, incoming missiles from Iran, have been intercepted. One, the visuals of the sirens that you're getting on the screens that I recorded a moments ago. And right behind me here, there were several missiles. I could hear at least 6 of them that have been intercepted over Tel Aviv, and many Iranian missiles over Jerusalem have been intercepted as well. So it seems to be successful right now, but many people are inside the bomb shelters. We are waiting for a green signal for people to move out, actually, but people are taking shelter right now. And of course, this is the beginning of the third day. Last 2 days after the Operation Epic Fury and the killing of Khamenei, we've seen Iranian missile erupt, not just against Israel, but US bases all across the region. We've seen civilian areas being targeted across UAE, where Dubai International Airport, Abu Dhabi Airport, and several hotels were targeted. We saw Qatar, Bahrain, hotels in Bahrain, in fact, and civilian areas, and Kuwait also under attack. There have been some casualties that have been reported. Last night, before I could catch some sleep, I heard another bang, in fact, an impact that happened in Jerusalem. In fact, in that attack, a moving car came under attack in Jerusalem, and 7 people were injured and they were rushed to the hospital. So as of now, the death toll here in Israel seems to be mounting. Yesterday, more than 9 people were killed in Beit Shemesh, and more than 25 were injured. So as of now, more than 10 people have been killed here, more than 50 injured in Israel in 3 separate incidents. But early morning today, here on NDTV, I can confirm that massive first sirens of incoming Iranian intrusions and missiles coming in. It seems to be a long day. There's no end to the sight. Donald Trump also said that the military campaign will continue, even though he's ready for talks. Back to you.
Indeed, and as there are more details coming in, it's still early in the morning. Aditya, it indicates that that Iran is willing to continue to escalate this further. Their top leadership has made it clear there are going to be no negotiations. Yesterday, they had put up that retaliation flag on their key mosque, indicating that the hostilities today may continue to escalate.
Absolutely. There is a lot of outrage in Iran. Their supreme leader has been eliminated and neutralized. So obviously they're angry. There are protests happening all across the world wherever there is a Shia population. In fact, NDTV last night spoke to the representative of the Ayatollah and the Iranians here in New Delhi. He also said that who do we talk to? Is there any trust left now that our supreme leader has been targeted, and that too at a time when talks were underway? So a lot of answers and questions actually that need answers right now. But as of now, I can tell you here in Tel Aviv, there is a crisis that is unfolding, which is spreading all across the region, all across West Asia, and we haven't seen the end of it.
Certainly haven't seen the end of it. Aditya, thanks much for filling us in, and you stay safe as you continue to report from Israel, giving us the very latest as far as how things are unfolding right now in the region. All right, viewers, on that note, slipping into a very short break, we come back with more news, more updates, more details, all fact-check, all credible, all verified, to get you the latest that's unfolding in the entire Middle East. Stay with us.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand. Motorola Signature, India's #1 camera phone. Grab Motorola Signature today.
आपको शायद पता नहीं होगा, अपार ने INS विक्रांत के लिए 150 से ज्यादा तरह के केबल्स बनाए हैं। देश के टॉर्पीडोस में भी हैं अपार के केबल्स। वंदे भारत भी अपार के केबल से ही स्पीड पकड़ती है, और यही वायर्स और केबल्स हमारे घरों को भी पावर करते हैं। विश्वास इसमें अपार, तभी तो ये है देश का तार।
करियर से अर्ली रिटायरमेंट हो या नए करियर की शुरुआत, रहो दोनों के लिए रेडी। PNB MetLife रिटायरमेंट प्लान्स के साथ लॉक करें 10.2% guaranteed annuity rate for life. PNB MetLife, always ready for life.
7 American bases in the entire Middle East as part of the 6th
Across the country.
He has tracked the pulse of power from Washington to Korea. Witnessed history being made in global capitals and conflict zones. Brought clarity to complex issues of national security and international affairs.
All set to visit.
Aditya Raj Kaul, covering international affairs like no one else. Only on NDTV network.
Money, fame, dirty money, fame. Spending millions every day, but I still the same.
घंटी बजी
Jingle, 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 jingle.
बस आज का
Jingle, 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 jingle.
चल करें थोड़े
Single, 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 single.
क्योंकि तू है
Single, 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 single. Baby, I'm your Santa.
करियर से अर्ली रिटायरमेंट हो या नए करियर की शुरुआत, रहो दोनों के लिए रेडी। PNB MetLife रिटायरमेंट प्लान्स के साथ लॉक करें 10.2% guaranteed annuity rate for life. PNB MetLife, always ready for life.
From 1983 to now, I have seen cricket evolve, but the mindset to win never changed. I tell you that what win matches and what doesn't.
Viewers, you're watching our rolling coverage of the big escalation that has taken place as US-Iran war continues to escalate, engulfing the entire region. I'm Gauri Dwivedi. In the next 1 hour, we get you all the details, the updates, the latest developments, all fact-checked, all verified, all completely credible. Stop a quick check of the big developments that have been taking place. Iran-Israel war has escalated. Jerusalem hit by multiple missiles. Dramatic videos emerged showing missile attack in the Israeli city. Key Hezbollah leader killed in strikes in Lebanon. Israel struck Lebanon after Hezbollah fired multiple rockets and drones on Israel. Donald Trump's big assassination claim says Khamenei tried to kill him twice, asserts he got Khamenei before he managed to assassinate Donald Trump. Prime Minister Modi chairs Cabinet Committee on Security meeting as the war in Middle East continues to escalate. Prime Minister Modi also spoke to Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, conveyed India's concerns and strategic position. Sensex Nifty tank over oil price surge amidst the Iran-US conflict. Global crude benchmarks climb sharply as Brent futures now rise to multi-month highs. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney meets Prime Minister Modi in Delhi. It's a historic reset for the India-Canada relationship. And Afghanistan pounds key military bases in Pakistan, including the Noor Khan Air Base. It is the exact same air base that was earlier pounded during Operation Sindoor.
Allahu Akbar.
more details, more updates coming in, viewers, this time from Kuwait. What you see on your screens are those fresh visuals that have been released, which shows a fighter jet, a US fighter jet, crashing in Kuwait. It is likely to be an F-15 jet that has crashed there. This is the Iranian state media that has shared that dramatic footage. It's a US warplane that has been downed in Kuwait. Now, Kuwait also holds and houses significant US, and not just US, NATO and coalition troops in that region, which have been impacted in the last 2 days by Iranian strikes in Kuwait. And that is a video that has been released. We are still waiting for details in terms of when exactly this took place, whether or not there were any casualties whatsoever. Pilot bails from the downed fighter jet is what you can see there. But any more details regarding it, we are going to wait and watch out for. Vishal joins us for more updates on this. Vishal, any more details that you could share with us with regard to this particular fighter jet that seems to have been downed in Kuwait? Any more details that you could share with us?
Well, there are several videos circulating on social media as we speak, Gauri. Some seem to indicate that the pilot was rescued. He seemed to have ejected out. Some say that it was a case of friendly fire incident. So friendly fire occurs when, your allies mistakenly fire at you and you get injured, or the aircraft gets crashed. So that's what seems to have happened this time around. But there's no confirmation on this information. We are still gathering details. But these are some really high tension moments as we've been throughout reporting. F-15 is USA's one of the foremost and one of the most used, fighter aircraft. It has used it across, US has used it across the globe to a larger extent, and it was using it across Middle East now. It has deployed, US has deployed at least 100 fighter aircraft across Middle East. That goes to show the level that which US has gone to defend its interest in the region. But that comes with a cost. These incidents, as Trump himself said, US troops are in direct danger each and every moment. So these incidents will keep propping up every now and then, and the pilots, the troops, they will keep getting injured. And the pilot seems to have saved himself, seems to have ejected, is what some of the videos suggest. We'll have details as we go along. But this seems to be a case of friendly fire, is what we've gathered as I just spoke. But the details are scant at the moment, so we'll have to wait for confirmation on a lot of these informations.
So there are sketchy details right now. There is no effort to try and second guess what really happened there, because it's important to be completely, we put out very verified and credible data. But this is important, viewers, because CNN, the US media outlet, had earlier reported that the 3 US troops who had actually died were in a suspected drone strike in Kuwait itself. Again, no attempt to second guess what really happened here. But Vishal, this is important to tell our viewers that Iran has said that they actually hit a US naval base in Kuwait. So there has been multiple strikes that have taken place in on American facilities in Kuwait itself. So they have seen those multiple strikes from Iran.
That's exactly right, Gauri. And it's Kuwait, it's Bahrain, it's Erbil, it's the Iraqi Kurdistan region, the autonomous region that Iraq has. These are some of the biggest bases that the US has in the region. To be exact in numbers, there are 27 big US bases in the region, from Syria to the coasts of Bahrain and also Oman. and some bases, some secret bases could also be there. These are some of the biggest bases that we've been talking about. So Iranian intelligence would be working around the clock to gather some more details on the bases that US has in the region. So they will be, the top targets, because Iran, forever, for whatever it has in its arsenal, it's not really powerful enough to strike the US territory. It will try to strike the US.
Visual that we are putting out, Vishal, this specific visual right now, you mentioned there could have been more than one possibility here. There are sketchy details, but for our viewers tuning in right now, just help them and just describe exactly what could have possibly happened.
So, US fighter jets, they are scrambled across, as I mentioned, at least 100 in number. They are supported by at least 2 aircraft carriers, namely USS Gerald Ford and USS Abraham Lincoln. They are situated on 2 different corners of Middle East, one near the Arabian Sea, the other one near the Mediterranean Sea. So these aircraft gain a lot of support from these aircraft carriers. There could have been some, interference in the, communication between the aircraft and the aircraft carrier that could have resulted in the friendly fire. These are some, scenarios that I'm talking about. Of course, we will have to confirm these details. These are some really sensitive moments, as you rightly mentioned. But F-15 is one of the most successful aircraft that US has. It has been deployed in Iraq war. It was deployed in Gulf war. So the fact that they are still being used is not a surprise. But how this crash happened, that will have to be investigated. Many reports are still claiming that it's a case of friendly fire, and these are social media reports. These have not been confirmed by CENTCOM, which is the highest authority in the region that can speak on this matter. So we'll have to wait for confirmation. But F-15 is what has crashed, and this is a US aircraft.
And this has actually been put out by an Iranian media outlet as well, with no details whatsoever. Let's get in Aditya as well for an update there. Aditya, on one hand, there are sirens blazing across Tel Aviv, across several cities in Israel, even as other parts of the region are also seeing heightened activity, increased and escalation in the tensions.
Well, that's right. Since early morning, we've seen sirens here in Israel, but also across several other countries, there have been, hectic activities taking shape because Iranian attack drones and rockets and missiles have been acting and engulfing several other countries in the region. In Kuwait, this particular video that is on your screens right now is of an American F-15 jet that was part of the entire Epic Fury operation by the US and Israeli forces. We do not have clarity as to when this happened, if at all this has happened, but this is a video that has been put out by the Iranian state media. So a bit of caution for our viewers that we are still trying to verify this video and get details about what has really happened. But what we can describe from the pictures that is on the screen right now, there seems to be a kind of a projectile that has hit this particular F-15, and there is some fire, and then the aircraft rotates. The pilot of this aircraft ejects safely. There is a parachute that is coming down as well, and then the aircraft crashes after multiple rotations in the air. So clearly this is, if it is true, it is a huge development taking shape. This could be marking first major casualty of an aircraft in this entire operation ever since it began more than 48 hours ago. So clearly at this moment, this particular video coming out from Kuwait, but put out by the Iranian state media, we are awaiting some details from the American side or the Israeli side. There have been some casualties in the last 2 days of the American soldiers also that has been reported. It's not just the US bases that has been attacked in the Middle East. French naval base in Abu Dhabi, UAE also came under attack. In fact, last night the Dubai International Airport again came under the drone attack, and there were multiple drones towards the Dubai city as well that were thwarted by the air defense mechanism of UAE. Already Saudi Arabia has been very upset, as has been UAE. Their top leadership has spoken. Last night, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also spoke to the top leader from UAE, and expressed condolences over the kind of attack and the casualties that took place. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also spoke to Benjamin Netanyahu, expressing concern about the latest development and also about the Indians who are stranded, which also includes a delegation of journalists who have been here, who were reporting on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit. So clearly, developments happening thick and fast, not just in Iran and Israel, but the wider region in West Asia and across the Middle East, even as we are waiting for a press conference of Peter Hegseth, who is the Secretary of the Department of War under Trump administration. In a few hours from now, he'll be holding the first press conference because remember, he's the main man down who is actually monitoring and looking and giving orders for the Operation Epic Fury. So perhaps along with the top general of the US armed forces, he will be coming out for the first time, laying out what the plan was and what plan will be in future, because the operation and the military offensive of US and Israel only continues in Iran. And today, later today, we could expect fresh bombings from the American side in Tehran and all other areas across Iran.
All right, Aditya, Vishal, stay with us because I want to tell our viewers exactly what this visual really is all about. And let's put that out in greater detail for our viewers to better understand what exactly are we really showing here, and then we come to the significance of it. First and foremost, you can see that is an F-15 Strike Eagle that you can see in the air. This is in Kuwait, where it has caught fire mid-air, and then there's a very important aspect I want to say where you will see that the pilot safely ejects and then the aircraft crashes. So that's very important. This says in midair in Kuwait, that's an F-15 right there, F-15E Strike Eagle. It has caught fire there. Why, the circumstances, was it friendly fire, who struck, all those are details that we are still waiting. But this is what we have right now. At this particular moment, it's very clear that it has caught fire. It is now going down, but before that, there you can see it's going down, but before that, you will see that the pilot has been able to safely eject it, himself or herself, and then, of course, it crashes. The circumstances in which this happened, what really is the situation right now, are all developments that are unfolding right now, but this is what the situation is right now. In Kuwait, it has been one of the areas which has been impacted. There have been multiple strikes that have taken place on Kuwaiti assets that are owned by US, run by US, and this needs to be seen in that context as well. Now, Aditya, in the backdrop of that, you have these regional tensions that are escalating, but this is also the first most visible attack as far as an American asset is concerned, and that needs to be highlighted. You're right about the fact that in about 6 hours or 7 hours from now is when Pete Hegseth is going to give his first detailed account of what really happened. Ahead of that, this striking visual is going to play out and will be asked in greater detail.
Absolutely. This is the most striking visual of an American casualty, if at all it has happened, and if at all it is corroborated by the American side also. One thing is very clear, Gauri, that Trump is not going to take this very lightly. He had already warned Iranians that if you continue with the barrage of missiles and drone attacks against US and US allies in the region, there would be consequences. And it's not just the US that we are talking about. The UK has also jumped in and said that we will be part of this war. Our aircrafts are already mid-air, and certainly we will be joining this. There's a joint statement that has come in from several countries in the Middle East along with US and UK. There's Bahrain, Jordan and others who are speaking out against this. They're showing a united stand and a united strength against Iran in this particular case. But this particular visual that is coming across on NDTV, released by the Iranian media, is very, very significant. It is very, very critical and serious if at all this development has happened. It's also a provocation and it's an escalation by the Iranian side, because it's the first major American asset that could have been targeted by the Iranians. Yesterday, there was speculation from the Iranian media that 4 ballistic missiles were, thrown towards the USS Abraham Lincoln. Of course, there were no reports of that from the American side. There was no corroboration. But on the other hand, there was a statement that came in from US President Donald Trump saying that 9 Iranian vessels and ships were destroyed and sunk in the waters, and that marked a huge development. We already know that Iran almost does not have a navy. It cannot be compared with any of the top navies in the world, and certainly that is the weakest spot that Iran has at this stage. The only one thing that Iran does have is a very strong stockpile of missiles that could be very, very deadly. That includes the Fateh 2 as well. That could be possibly used in this entire retaliation action that Iran is seeing. Now, there are two things that we need to, amply state here for the viewers. One thing, that there have been some words coming in that Iranian new governing council is ready for talks. Trump has said that if they are ready, he would be ready to hold talks, but the military offensive will continue until there are some very fixed, assurances on the nuclear enrichment and nuclear sites that come in from the Iranian side. So we'll have to wait and watch how things unfold. Yesterday, I also spoke to the spokesperson of the Israeli Foreign Ministry. He also was amply clear that the operation will continue. Israel will continue to target Iran until there is a change in the regime. So it does seem that the main objective of US and Israel operation isn't some kind of a small message anymore. It is not at all a preemptive strike that we were earlier speaking about on Saturday morning. There's a larger consequence here. They want a regime change. They want some kind of a democracy restoration to take place. But who will be the substitute down on ground? These are some very grave questions that we are asking here because it's a volatile situation. Many killings have happened. There's a humanitarian crisis that could be developing in Iran as well. But these visuals, very, very serious, a huge provocation from Iran, if at all it is true. The next few hours will be very crucial to discuss this particular F-15 and how America reacts to it.
Indeed, and the larger question about whether there is political stomach to undertake any regime change if it comes at the cost of American lives. And that's a very significant question that will be put forth to Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth. But, speaking specifically about this visual, there's a detailed ejection sequence that is there for everybody to see. And then, of course, the aircraft spiraling downward, pilot coming out and ejecting safely. But these visuals, they tell the fact that, as these strikes escalate, we've entered day 3 of this conflict. As they escalate, as they spread out, as American bases and even NATO bases, UK base has in Cyprus being one, French naval base being another, as all of them become fair game, so to say, how much longer can this go on is the point. Do you expect a response that will come in from the Trump administration specifically for these very dramatic and telling visuals?
Well, that is one question that everybody in the world seems to be asking, Gauri, isn't it? People are waiting for this to end because this is not just about Iran and Israel and US. It is about the wider West Asia and Middle East. It's also about the global community, which is traveling right now. And Doha, Dubai, and Abu Dhabi are 3 epicenters which are big in connectivity. There are thousands of flights that actually land in Doha, Abu Dhabi, and Dubai. They are major, traveling points for the travelers from East and the West. So there is a crisis unfolding because all these places are shut right now. The airspaces are shut, airports are shut. There are thousands of passengers that are stranded. So will it end anytime soon? Doesn't seem like. There was a question asked by Daily Mail to Donald Trump yesterday, exactly this, that how long do you think that this is going to continue? And Donald Trump was very sharp and he said that this operation, it does seem, will continue for the next 4 weeks. So are we waiting here for the next 4 weeks? Because I haven't packed my clothes. I was here for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit and I have just clothes for 4 days out here that I'll have to manage perhaps for the next 4 weeks. But at this particular moment, very dramatic developments taking shape across the Middle East. And
nobody in the world does, absolutely, Aditya. And before I come back to you, I want to show our viewers exactly what I was saying, 30 seconds back about that detailed ejection sequence as well. What you see, viewers, on one end of your screen is where the 2 pilots safely ejecting. That you can see, the 2 of them safely ejecting as the aircraft, the F-15, went down. So it caught fire mid-air, and then that is the other sequence where you can see the two of them safely being ejected. That is when the F-15E Strike Eagle caught fire. Circumstances of it, was it a friendly fire incident? Was it any particular mechanical failure? Was it something else? All those are details that we are going to wait for. But those dramatic visuals that we are putting out show on one end the F-15 catching fire, and on the other end, most importantly, the two pilots inside safely able to eject from there. All right, yes, Aditya, I'm going to go back to you as these visuals continue to come in, those dramatic visuals that continue to come in. Many are now, of course, asking that where does this go? A US warplane being downed in whatever circumstances in the middle of a Middle East war that is escalating, and sharp rhetoric coming in from Donald Trump's administration means that this is likely to lead to more consequences.
Well, certainly it's a big claim by the Iranian state media that an F-15 American jet has been downed, has been neutralized over the Kuwaiti airspace. It's a major escalation by the Iranian side, if at all true. We'll have to wait, of course, for the US side to say. There are multiple theories that are going around. One, of course, is the fact that this could be possibly a friendly fire. Second, there could be a projectile, either a drone or a missile that could have hit this particular aircraft, either directly or accidentally. And third, there could be perhaps a technical failure, which seems very, there is slim chance of a technical failure that could have led to this. So the entire sequence that you already explained to the viewers is very critical as well. The aircraft is flying in the Kuwaiti airspace, and suddenly we see it rotating after there's a, kind of a fire on the aircraft. Immediately after, when the rotation begins, the two pilots of the American F-15 eject very much safely. There are multiple videos that we are putting out here for the benefit of our viewers. You can actually see the entire sequence of the two pilots safely evacuating and in fact ejecting from the American F-15. Then thereafter, the aircraft crashes into the land after being in the Kuwaiti airspace. We are awaiting a response from the Kuwaiti aviation ministry as well, and how the Kuwaiti government reacts to this. There could be possibly the first statement coming in from the Kuwaiti side about the details of the jet that actually crashed, how this happened, whether the pilots are safe, and what are the countermeasures that the Kuwaiti government now plans to do immediately after this crash. So we'll wait for that particular statement to come in. But on NDTV, for the first time this Monday morning, we are breaking these very crucial details that are coming across about the crash that has happened. It could be possibly the first major asset of the American Air Force that has been downed and neutralized at a time when there is thick activity, fast-paced activity taking shape across West Asia and Middle East. Several countries embroiled and engulfed in this entire sequence that we are talking about. A lot of violence, a lot of killings, a lot of destruction that has been reported over the last 48 to 50 hours. And now, in these visuals, it's very clear that an American F-15 seems to be down. How will Trump and Peter Hegseth actually react to this is anybody's guess. There would be fury. It's an Operation Fury, and now the fury might actually increase towards Tehran. There could be possibly anger diverted towards strategic assets that Iranians have across Tehran and other cities, and also other senior commanders of the IRGC, the Basij forces, and the paramilitary and the police forces in Iran. So very dramatic visuals coming on the screens from the Kuwaiti airspace, even as we track developments in Israel, Iran, and several other countries in the neighborhood where continuously sirens have been buzzing, and there are activities that we are talking about, people going into shelter, and of course, people unaware of what the future really looks like. The immediate future does not really look very well with the escalation of the conflict and missiles going from one side to the other. So we are staying with these three important visuals. On one, you can see the aircraft flying in the air, rotating immediately, either with a projectile hitting or some kind of an action in air. The second is of pilots actually ejecting, and third is finally when the aircraft really crashes. So on NDTV, first to report these developments, quoting the Iranian media for safety. It's important we are here verifying facts, not putting out any kind of disinformation. We are factual that the American side has not reacted to it. The Kuwaiti government has not put out a statement yet. We'll wait for the official word, but these are very, very concerning and dramatic visuals coming on the screen from Kuwait, even as I report from Israel in Tel Aviv, where sirens were buzzing moments ago, and there was incoming Iranian fire towards Israel. There have been 3 to 4 events in Israel as well over the last 2 days where there have been many casualties. But here in Kuwait, this does not look good. This is not the kind of message that Americans or the Israelis were looking for. This is a dramatic escalation, if at all it is true. And now, certainly, Gauri, we'll have to wait for answers that will initially come from the Kuwaiti government and perhaps a reaction from US and Israel. And further, there could be a dramatic increase in the American and Israeli airstrikes against Iran.
Indeed. And, two important things that we must put out and tell that, these dramatic visuals that are coming in right now of the aircraft catching fire, the pilots ejecting safely, and the aircraft, finally, the F-15 being, downing right there, you can see. All these 3 visuals come in at a time. 2 important things are happening. The US Congress will be briefed by the Trump administration. So they need to be told exactly what is happening. Ahead of that, these dramatic visuals of the best-in-class warplane in the world being downed like this will lead to some question marks, and accountability will be sought from the US Congress, from Donald Trump's administration. And the second thing is, it comes just 6 hours before the US Defense Defense Minister Pete Hegseth will tell in detail exactly the military operation that US has conducted and plans to do so. And I think, Aditya, that's extremely important. The context in which these visuals are coming in, the timing of them, and of course, the questions that will be asked of Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump's administration.
Absolutely, Gauri. You're putting it, appropriately what we expect over the next few hours. Very significant questions that will be put by the US Congress to the Trump administration on what has happened. But staying with these visuals from Kuwait that have really come in, and we are putting out 3 significant aspects of the visuals that we have received from the Iranian media. It's important to put out this action sequence, this dramatic chase that has happened really with the American F-15 aircraft likely downed by the Iranian missile or a drone in that Kuwaiti airspace. There are 2 important developments that have happened on the sidelines just in the last couple of hours. One, there are fresh reports now coming in of a blast, in fact, multiple blasts from the capital of UAE, Abu Dhabi. We'll have to wait for more details where these blasts have taken place in Abu Dhabi, what is the reaction of the government, and whether there's been some destruction or fire, because there have been several such reports in the last 2 days, and we have verified that. We have put out visuals as well. The second important detail, Gauri, that we are breaking here on NDTV since morning is the action, a fresh action by the Israeli Defense Forces, the IDF, against Hezbollah in Lebanon. Now, there were some projectiles that were coming in from the Lebanon side, from Hezbollah early this morning, and the Israeli Air Force and the Israeli Defense Forces have acted against it and hit Hezbollah centers in Beirut and several other areas. There are casualties that have been reported there. Initial reports say more than 20 people have been killed in these airstrikes by the Israeli Air Force and the Defense Forces in Lebanon. This is after Hezbollah tried to join the war in support of Iran from the northern side of the border of the Israelis. We've seen in the last 2.5 years, ever since Israel-Hamas conflict, Hezbollah was embroiled in this as well, supporting Hamas for the first time. Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis coming together against Israel. But then the top leadership of Hezbollah, Hamas, was wiped out, and now the top leadership of Iran has been wiped out. All these 3 to 4 groups had a significant role to play in the 7th October terror attacks that happened in southern Israel, not very far from where I'm standing, where 1,200 people have been killed. Now, staying again with these visuals early morning in India, I'm reporting from Israel for NDTV over the last few days, even as there are several developments that are taking shape across West Asia that are very concerning, potentially have huge geopolitical and economic consequences, because this is not looking good for connectivity, for oil as well, because there's a lot of oil that India also gets from the Middle East that could be hampered. There could be connectivity that could be hampered. And here in Kuwait, this visual coming on your screens, three important visuals that we are playing out parallelly, does not look good. It is an F-15, an American F-15. These are visuals that have been released by the Iranian media. F-15 from the American side being down, being neutralized, in fact, either through an Iranian projectile or some kind of a missile or drone that seems to have hit this. And in the Kuwaiti airspace, this action, dramatic action taking place in which this aircraft is coming down. The pilots seem to have ejected very, very safely in this, but who knows what has happened and what exactly is the sequence really. Only the Kuwaitis or the American experts could really define this moment really, because this could be a defining moment on the next chapter of what US and Israel really does in Iran. So very significant developments taking shape. Back to you, Gauri.
Indeed, very significant developments taking place, dramatic visuals that we are pointing out right now. All three visuals that you see on your screens, viewers, the exact moment when the F-15 caught fire. It became a ball of fire, and as that fireball then fell into the sky, crashing on the ground. Not before the two pilots were able to safely eject. That is the footage that we are showing. It has, even as the exact cause of the crash is still not officially known. It seems that it may have occurred due to a friendly fire, but there isn't an official confirmation to that extent as to why an American F-15 fighter jet was shot down in Kuwait. The circumstances, even as the dramatic footage, raises many questions. And this comes at a time when there have been several blasts that have been heard in Doha itself, whether it is in Kuwait, whether it is in Qatar, whether it is in Bahrain. These blasts have been reported across the entire region. And as far as this particular aircraft is concerned, the F-15 Eagle is a twin-engine, all-weather tactical fighter jet. And Aditya, best in class. Essentially, this is the best of American weaponry on display that is being downed there.
Well, absolutely. This is the best as it can get, because this hasn't seen any major crashes. There have been some crashes that have been reported in the past, but there have been some very, very wild technical glitches in that, or some kind of a misfortune. But in this particular case, it does seem like that some projectile might have hit this particular aircraft in Kuwait. So that is very concerning, because there's a ball of smoke, a ball of fire that can be witnessed in these visuals. Immediately after that, the aircraft takes circles and rounds in the air, and moments later, there are two pilots that eject safely from the aircraft. So these are visuals that are very concerning and very, very critical to what happens next in the Middle East and in Iran particularly, because if this is true, if these visuals are correct over the Kuwaiti airspace, America is certainly not going to take it lightly. There are going to be consequences that are immediate. American president and the American Department of War will not wait for the next opportunity. They will hit hard, because they are looking at an opportunity to change the paradigm in Iran completely. They want to change the regime. They want to restore some kind of democracy, and they want a civilian leader to take control, not the Iranian regime. They also want to enter talks at some stage in which the nuclear sites and nuclear enrichment could be stopped entirely, completely, and that assurance needs to be there. But I think we have come very far from that assurance stage, and now there seems to be some action that the Americans and Israelis want in Iran. That could take time. It could not happen in the next few days, and potentially the Americans and Israelis are prepared for that. But staying with these visuals that are very, very significant at this particular stage, today is the third day of the Operation Epic Fury launched by the American side against Iran. Iran has also retaliated majorly against at least 5 to 6 countries.
In fact, that's a very important point there, Aditya, that you are making. Let me put that out right there for our viewers tuning in. The latest that's unfolding, with fresh strikes taking place in the region. Day 3, the latest strikes that are unfolding is our big focus right now. Breaking inputs coming in on just that. The strikes that are taking place. and as Israel continues to pound Iran. Which particular areas that have been targeted is what we are going to connect Aditya with and ask him on just that. But before that, those are visuals coming in right now of fresh strikes. Those are fresh strikes that have been launched by Israel as it continues to pound parts of Tehran. Specific details, Aditya, if any, that you could share with us on day 3. What are these strikes? Which are the areas that are being targeted?
Well, these are fresh strikes that we are reporting on. This is eastern Tehran. There seems to be some strategic locations of the Iranian government and perhaps the forces as well that have been targeted. This is the day 3 that we are talking about. Israeli forces are now striking the IDF and the Israeli Air Force specific areas in eastern Tehran. This is the capital city of Iran that has come under attack over the last 2 days as well. This is where Khamenei was also eliminated. This is where 40 commanders of the IRGC and the Basij forces was also targeted. It almost seems like the top of the military establishment and of course the supreme leader have been completely wiped out. It's a significant blow and a significant loss to the Iranian side, and this time around we are now looking at a situation of escalation over the next few days, but these are fresh Israeli strikes even as Israeli strikes continue in Lebanon as well.
So in parts of Lebanon, it is Israel is launching fresh strikes. In parts of Tehran, it is coming out with fresh strikes, even as the word coming in from Iran is very clear that they are not going to negotiate. They don't want to have any discussions whatsoever. So extremely significant the fact that there is no room right now for diplomacy, and you could see these military ops continuing. Aditya? Okay, we'll connect with Aditya in just a bit, but those are fresh visuals that you are seeing right now, the latest visuals and footage that we are getting on Israel continuing to pound parts of eastern Tehran, specific areas that have been targeted based on specific intel. Those are details that we keep getting for you. Let's amp up the audio once because there are multiple explosions that can be heard in this video. Okay, so as you can see, viewers tuning in right now, day 3 of the West Asia crisis that continues to escalate. Room for diplomacy shrinking with rhetoric on both sides increasing. In the backdrop of that, what you see are fresh visuals coming to light of Israel continuing to pound parts of Tehran. This time it's eastern Tehran where strikes are being focused on. Arjun joins me for more on this. Arjun, Samar Mahendran giving us a sense of where exactly these strikes are taking place. Israel is striking both Iran as well as Lebanon as well. Over to you, Arjun. Fill us in with whatever details that you have right now.
Well, the latest barrage or salvo, should I say, of Israeli these strikes is targeting eastern and central Tehran. As we get to this broadcast, this also includes the famed Nilofer Square, where we are hearing of initial reports of people getting injured. Now, essentially, with these strikes, Israel has hit a lot of government buildings and military infrastructure, especially in capital Tehran. Now, I'll just take you through some government buildings and infrastructure that has in fact been hit by Israel, which includes the Ministry of Intelligence, the Ministry of Defense, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's compound, including his office where it was. Israel is also claiming, in fact, to have hit the IRGC headquarters in central Tehran. When the latest strikes, Iran has targeted eastern Tehran and also the central district of Tehran, including the famed Nilofer Square. Furthermore, damage has also been reported in the Narmak neighborhood and the Shaharan district, which has also, we are getting to learn, led to massive power outage in the region. And it's not only Iran. Just a few moments ago, we played out breaking news of Israel also pounding areas in Lebanon, including capital Beirut and other parts of southern Lebanon, where they've in fact also claimed killing Hezbollah's political bureau leader, Mohammad Saad. Back to you.
All right, Arjun, thanks much for filling us in with the latest that's unfolding right now. Now, as the war in West Asia continues to escalate, viewers, we are now going to show you some of the most defining images that tell you how things look right now on day 3 of this war. First up, what you see on your screens, Israel launching strikes on Lebanon's capital, Beirut, after the Lebanese terror outfit Hezbollah fired missiles and rockets across the border. The Israeli Defense Forces have targeted Beirut after Hezbollah launched strikes, rockets on Israeli base. The Beirut airport road was targeted in Israeli strikes. Those are the most defining visuals of that strike. Footage released by the Israeli Defense Forces of an Israeli strike on the air defense systems in Tehran. Israel has intensified attacks on Iran following the recent escalation. That is a 10-second video footage released by IDF. US military has claimed strikes on Iran's ballistic missile facilities. This video that has been released by the Central Command of US claims that Iranian ballistic missiles have been a dangerous threat for decades and a threat that has now been eliminated. Another video footage released by US Central Command. These are of the strikes on Iran as part of Operation Epic Fury. United States claims that these strikes will continue to eliminate imminent threats that are posed by the Iranian regime. Those are visuals of an inferno at the docks, the massive blaze that broke out at the maritime facility near key Manama port following an attack by Iran. And this is at Manama port in Bahrain.
Что мы находимся в Бахрейне, мы ударили по американской базе. Там горит все. Это бьет по американской базе.
The conflict fire has also spread to other Gulf nations. Multiple drone attacks continue to be reported across the region. What you see are drone attacks on Bahrain, the skyline showing a plume of smoke over the capital city. That's a huge fire reported ignited by an Iranian strike on a U.S. naval facility at Bahrain's Salman port. It's a port that houses the U.S. Navy's Central Command and the Fifth Fleet, one of its largest presence in the entire region. Those are visuals where several people have been injured after an Iranian ballistic missile struck a road in West Jerusalem. Missiles could be seen bypassing the air defense in the city. This as Iran retaliated with a fresh wave of missile attacks on Israel. Multiple injuries have been reported.
Oh my days.
Direct ballistic missile strike in Jerusalem. What you see on your screens are medical teams scrambling to ensure that they provide help to the wounded in time. Multiple injuries have been reported from this particular strike.
Yo! No way! No way! No way!
Iranian missile shrapnel also hit a vehicle while it was in motion in Jerusalem, leaving 7 people injured, one of whom has been seriously injured.
Ya Allah, damn.
פה, רמת שלמה פה, כניסה לרמת שלמה פה. הנה הפר, הרכב, כולם בסדר, אחד יצא. הנה הפיר. הנה מגיע עכשיו כל ההצלה.
Ya Allah. Ya Allah, damn.
Police Station 104 in Tehran's Abbasabad district. It's a government building targeted in recent US-Israeli strikes. What you see on your screens is the scale of destruction after it was hit. Israel targeted Iranian state broadcaster late night. Images show a ball of fire and smoke coming out of the building in Tehran. The broadcaster confirmed that it had been struck. Images of major missile attacks that were also reported in Tel Aviv. Israel's Iron Dome can be seen in action as it intercepted incoming missiles. Sirens blared across the city.
وضعیت بیمارستان جهانگیر وضعیت بیمارستان
That's a video coming out of Tehran showing the damage at a hospital where Iran has alleged that US and Israel strikes have targeted civilian areas.
صاف زده بیمارستانو وضعیت بیمارستان جهانگیر وضعیت بیمارستان
Iran has also hit West Bank with both rockets and projectiles. Tehran has vowed harsh punishment in retaliation for the killing of its supreme leader, Khamenei. US Central Command has released a video of US B-2 stealth bombers armed with 2,000-pound bombs that struck Iran's hardened ballistic missile facilities. Now, the Middle East conflict is only intensifying. Fresh strikes have been reported across multiple areas, and strong statements are now coming in from all sides. Day after the killing of Khamenei was confirmed, Iran has intensified its attack on Israel, with missile strikes being reported in Jerusalem and other cities. Multiple vehicles, civilian areas have been targeted by Iran in Jerusalem. Donald Trump has claimed that the United States has destroyed 9 Iranian warships, and the escalating war situation has posed a massive threat to the global oil supply route as well, which is the Strait of Hormuz, through which at least 20% of global oil passes through daily. Drones were also seen flying over Tel Aviv, and sirens were heard going off multiple times. Even as Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has stated, Israeli strikes will only intensify, calling it a decisive campaign against what he termed a terror regime. Now, there is mixed reaction that is coming in from Iran. While last night Iran signaled that they are ready for talks, now there is a very firm commentary that is coming in from top Iranian security official who has said that there is no room for negotiation with the US, that they will not negotiate with America. Listen in.
Regarding to find some solution, regarding for this matter, that the Iranian side always reiterate to find the one, diplomatic solution in this matter. And so we have submitted our proposals. But now we are defending ourselves, because the one act of aggression imposed us. And so there is no doubt that we are doing our rights of our inherent right of self-defense. Now we are defending ourselves. That's it. But they are coming to attack us in our region and using all of the military troops and facilities against the Iranian people. And so there is no any room to defense. We should defend ourselves. But we do believe that if they are genuine and decisive and determined to find one diplomatic solution, there is no doubt that the Iranian side will come.
This is a chance and an opportunity that will not come again, because you will have your moment, a moment where you will be demanded to take to the street in order to finish the work and to topple this regime.
The objective is very clear: to remove the existential threat that is emanating from the Iranian regime. And this is a threat to Israel, but this is not only a threat to Israel. It's a threat to the entire region. We've seen attacks on 8 countries, 8 different countries, Arab countries. And something needs to be done, and this is what we're doing together with our American friends.
All right, now that Iran's supreme leader is dead, there is an interim transitional authority that has been put in place. Who will really succeed as the next supreme leader of Iran? This report tells you more.
With the killing of its supreme leader Ali Khamenei, Iran is faced with a rare situation: leadership change. Khamenei defined Iran for decades and held the most powerful position, overseeing the military, judiciary, intelligence services, and direction of foreign policy. Under Iran's constitution, an 88-member assembly of experts, a body of senior Shia clerics, is responsible for choosing the next supreme leader. This body convenes in secret and must pick a successor as soon as possible. A temporary leadership council comprised of the president, the judiciary head, and a member chosen by the expediency council will carry out the duties of the supreme leader until a new one is formally chosen. This council now serves as de facto head of state until succession concludes. Several names are going around as possible Khamenei successor. On top of the list is Khamenei's son, Mojtaba Khamenei. Then there is Ayatollah Alireza Arafi, a senior cleric and respected figure in religious circles. Also in contention will be Mohammad Mehdi Mirbagheri, a hardline religious figure. Moderate cleric and grandson of revolutionary founder Ayatollah Khamenei, Hassan Khamenei, may also emerge as a consensus candidate. Leadership change in Iran is rare, only the second since 1979. How the transition unfolds will shape the country's course at this difficult moment, where both internal and external challenges are at their worst. NDTV Bureau Report.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand. Motorola Signature, India's #1 camera phone. Grab Motorola Signature today.
करियर से अर्ली रिटायरमेंट हो या नए करियर की शुरुआत, रहो दोनों के लिए रेडी। पीएनबी मेटलाइफ रिटायरमेंट प्लान्स के साथ लॉक करें 10.2% गारंटीड एन्युटी रेट फॉर लाइफ। पीएनबी मेटलाइफ, ऑलवेज रेडी फॉर लाइफ।
आपको शायद पता नहीं होगा, अपार ने आईएनएस विक्रांत के लिए 150 से ज्यादा तरह के केबल्स बनाए हैं। देश के टॉर्पीडोस में भी हैं अपार के केबल्स। वंदे भारत भी अपार के केबल से ही स्पीड पकड़ती है, और यही वायर्स और केबल्स हमारे घरों को भी पावर करते हैं। विश्वास इसमें अपार, तभी तो ये है देश का तार।
Across the country, he has tracked the pulse of power from Washington to Korea. Witnessed history being made in global capitals and conflict zones. Brought clarity to complex issues of national security and international affairs. Aditya Raj Kaul, covering international affairs like no one else, only on NDTV Network.
Money, fame, dirty money, fame. Spending millions every day, but I still the same.
घंटी बजी,
Jingle, 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 jingle.
बस आज का
Jingle, 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 jingle.
चल करें थोड़े
Sing girl, sing girl, sing girl, sing girl, sing girl, sing girl.
क्योंकि तू है
Single, 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 single. Baby, I'm your Santa.
करियर से अर्ली रिटायरमेंट हो या नए करियर की शुरुआत, रहो दोनों के लिए रेडी। पीएनबी मेटलाइफ रिटायरमेंट प्लान्स के साथ लॉक करें 10.2% गारंटीड एन्युटी रेट फॉर लाइफ। पीएनबी मेटलाइफ, ऑलवेज रेडी फॉर लाइफ।
From 1983 to now, I have
Good afternoon. We begin with fast-moving developments in the Middle East, where tensions between Israel, Iran and the US have spiraled into a wider regional conflict. At stake, Iran's survival strategy, Israel's deterrence doctrine, Lebanon's fragile stability, and the possibility of the redrawing
of the Middle East at this point. A quick check on the headlines and then we'll take you through our rolling coverage. F-15 fighter jet crashes in Kuwait, aircraft engulfed in flames, pilot ejects from aircraft, dramatic footage shared by Iranian media. Iran-Israel war escalates, multiple explosions heard in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem. This after Israel pounded Iran after strikes on Jerusalem. Key Hezbollah leader killed in Israeli strikes in Lebanon. Israel struck Lebanon after Hezbollah fires rockets and drones. Casualties reported. US President Donald Trump's big assassination claim, says Khamenei tried to kill him twice, asserts he got him before Khamenei got Trump. The big global effect and impact of this conflict. Sensex Nifty tank over oil price surge amid Iran-US conflict. Global crude benchmarks climb sharply. Brent futures rises to multi-month highs. Canadian Prime Minister Carney meets Prime Minister Modi in the national capital. Carney's historic trip to reset ties with India shortly. Press statements from the two leaders. Afghanistan strikes key military bases in Pakistan, including Noor Khan Air Base. The same base was earlier targeted during Operation Sindoor. News is coming in. The IDF has released a video of the attack on Hezbollah. Israeli strikes on Lebanon, remember, have killed about 31 people and wounded more than 140. And this is what the Lebanese Health Ministry had to say. Now we have that video that the IDF has released, striking targets of terror group Hezbollah. The IDF has now begun striking additional targets is what the IDF is saying of the terrorist organization Hezbollah in Lebanon. Among the targets that were struck, weapons storage facilities and additional infrastructure of the terrorist organization Hezbollah in several areas in Lebanon. Aditya Rajkol joining me live. Aditya, this was something that was expected after the last few hours of what we've seen on the ground. Now the casualties really going up in Lebanon.
Well, that's right. The casualties are going up in Lebanon since early morning today when projectiles were seen coming in from the Hezbollah side in Lebanon. Immediately, Israeli Air Force and the IDF launched a massive attack against the storage facilities of the Hezbollah in Beirut and several other areas of Lebanon. These are massive strikes that we are talking about against Hezbollah, which was trying to join the war in support of Iran against Israel and United States. So these are videos that are coming across from the IDF. Very dramatic visuals of the airstrikes, the pounding of the bombs that has taken place. Very, very dramatic visuals from the IDF taken from the air when the launch of these bombs towards the storage facilities of the Hezbollah took place in Lebanon. The casualties are mounting. We've been told that more than 20 people have been killed in these fresh airstrikes that have happened in Lebanon. Since early morning, these attacks have actually taken shape across the Hezbollah centers in Lebanon as well. On the other hand, of course, there are reports of fresh strikes in Tehran, in eastern Tehran. The IDF and the Israeli Air Force has conducted operations against the Iranian regime. There seems to be some centers of the Iranian regime or the IRGC in that entire area where the action has actually taken place. And now we are waiting for further confirmation of what route this entire development will take as of now. There are massive clashes that are being reported. We haven't seen the end of it. There are also reports of fire being seen at the US Embassy in Kuwait. Apart from that, there are also unconfirmed reports from the Iranian media that American F-15 jet could have crashed there after a projectile hit it. So these are very serious and critical developments taking at this shape. Even as I continue to report from Israel, there were a couple of sirens early in the morning here in Israel, after which people took to shelter. There were multiple Iranian missiles that were intercepted and neutralized over the skyline of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem as well. Till now, there have been 3 to 4 major impacts in the last 2 days that have happened, in which there have been more than 10 casualties and more than 50 people injured here in Israel. Back to you.
All right, more news coming in as a part of the wider retaliatory strikes. We're getting breaking news coming in that Iran has struck Bahrain with ballistic missiles this morning. Tehran isn't just targeting Israel, it is firing across the Arab world. Now, like Aditya was pointing out, we also have the US Embassy in Kuwait now saying there is continuing threat of missile and UAV attacks over Kuwait. Take cover in your residence on the lowest available floor and away from windows. Do not go outside. Aditya Rajkol, we were just talking about Kuwait and about that fighter jet also that has been down there. But now you have the US Embassy in Kuwait coming out and putting out an advisory there that there's this continuing threat of missile and UAV attacks over Kuwait. Also, the worry is for the embassy itself, Aditya.
Well, absolutely. The worry is for the embassy. There is, in fact, a statement that have been put out, an advisory just now by the US Embassy in Kuwait, advising people to take precautions, the staff as well as American nationals in Kuwait. It's a detailed advisory that's been issued just moments ago when news erupted that there's been fire at the US Embassy in Kuwait, smoke seen in that entire area, and also an F-15 likely that seems to have crashed over the Kuwaiti airspace. Now there are reports coming in of a drone attack and ballistic missile attack against Bahrain. Now remember, over the last 2 days as well, there have been attacks against Bahrain where hotels as well as other critical infrastructure has been attacked by the Iranian side. The same situation has been witnessed in UAE as well, where both Dubai and Abu Dhabi have come under attack, including the Dubai International Airport. The Burj Al Khalifa had a drone attack nearby. And apart from that, the Burj Al Arab Hotel, where the lights went off completely and there was minor damage that was reported. In Palm Jumeirah as well, there were reports of fire and missile actually, projectiles actually, acting in that manner. So as of now, this is the day 3, Vedika, that we are talking about of Iranian retaliation and also fresh strikes from American and the Israeli side. The visuals on the screen are coming from multiple locations in Kuwait. One, smoke coming out from the US Embassy in Kuwait, and secondly, of the jet, the American F-15 that has been likely shot down, has been downed by the Iranian missile or a drone. So as of now, we don't have a confirmation from the American side, but this is a very, very dramatic situation that is taking shape. Very dramatic visuals on the screen. If at all an F-15 has been targeted, it's a huge escalation by the Iranian side. One, that Trump will not look at lightly, and there could be worst case scenario, major strikes by the American side on the Tehran Iranian regime.
Let's just take a step back, Aditya. When we look at these conflicts widening at this time, there is no side that's blinking first. In fact, there have been aggressive stands that continue to be taken by all stakeholders.
Well, absolutely, very aggressive stance that have been taken, especially because when the talks were underway in Geneva, the attacks came in just moments after that. And that's why the side from Oman, the Oman foreign minister, came out with his first statement, showing his complete dismay on the way things have really unfolded over the last 2 days. The Oman foreign minister was mediating the talks over the last few weeks, and he expected that the talks would resume in Vienna, Austria, where the technical details had to be finalized next week before an agreement could have been reached between the American side and the Iranian side. But the American and the Israeli side has been maintaining that they gave ample time to the Iranian side to come on the dialogue table and have an agreement, but there were no assurances that were coming in, and that's why now there is aggressive posturing from both sides. On one hand, Iran is saying that their supreme leader has been killed. There are more than 40 top commanders of the IRGC who have been eliminated, and that's why Iran will continue to retaliate. On one hand, you have also the American and the Israeli side, which says that they will completely disarm Iran of the nuclear capability and not rest until the Iranian regime is completely eradicated. So very critical threats that are coming from both sides. Now there's a new governing council that has been set up by the Iranian regime, which will take control of the governance measures there in Iran. But will they be able to bring situation under control? Will they be able to control the IRGC and the people as well, and also the protests that we have witnessed over the last many weeks, which led to many casualties as well? So very important developments taking across West Asia.
But Aditya, when we look at these visuals, you've had Iran saying that these are retaliatory strikes targeting US bases perhaps, but the collateral damage is for all to see, be it Iran, be it Israel.
Well, absolutely. There is a lot of collateral damage, especially the civilian population and public infrastructure that has come under attack continuously, particularly not in Israel, because there have been 3 places that have been targeted. But I think the worst case has been with the UAE, with Dubai and Abu Dhabi facing the worst brunt. And apart from that, we've had also 2 casualties, one Pakistani national and one Nepalese national who have been killed in Dubai and Abu Dhabi in these Iranian missile attacks. There have been several other people who have been injured and shifted to the hospital. Very dramatic and very disturbing visuals that have coming in from the Dubai International Airport that has been targeted multiple times, and other important hotels and places in UAE as well. But this morning, on the 3rd day, fresh attacks in Israel that have been neutralized, but also in Bahrain and Kuwait as well.
Do stay with me while we also update our viewers on what else is developing in terms of this huge escalation that is taking place in West Asia. Iran has claimed that it has shot down a F-15 fighter jet which crashed in Kuwait as the Middle East war escalated. Visuals which have emerged showed an F-15 jet spiraling downwards in slow motion with flames visible from its rear. But it was not immediately clear, and I'm going to bring in Aditya on this. It's not immediately clear, Aditya, if the plane belonged to the US or Israel, since both operate the fighter jet.
Well, that's right. It's not clear, but most likely it could be the American F-15, because there are American bases in and around Kuwait. We are talking about all those countries with US bases that have come under attack, be it Kuwait, Qatar, UAE or Bahrain. So clearly there's been a statement that has been issued by the US, UK and a lot of their allies in this entire region. So of course, it's a very volatile situation that we are talking about, but these are very, very concerning, critical and dramatic visuals on the screen. If at all it is true that an American aircraft and jet F-15 has been neutralized and shot down by the Iranian projectile, it is a massive escalation that we are talking about. One where Trump and Peter Hegseth will react very, very sharply, and there could be another blow, a very serious blow in terms of escalation from the American and the Israeli side when you're talking about strikes against Tehran that have only continued over the last few days. So there could be possibly more strikes against the Iranian regime, government buildings, paramilitary and the IRGC that could be targeted.
Aditya, do stay with me. It's very important for our viewers to understand how far this conflict has escalated, because of which we're going to get you some very strong defining images from across the Mideast at this point to show you the impact of the damage on both sides. Now, Israel continues to pound Iran. Several consecutive explosions happen at a site in eastern Tehran, as you can see on your screen. Israel launched strikes on Lebanon's capital, Beirut, after the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah fired missiles across the border. We do know that the casualty figure is going up as we speak. The IDF target Beirut after Hezbollah launched strikes on Israeli base. Beirut Airport Road has been targeted in those strikes by Israel. The IDF has released footage of an Israeli strike on air defense systems in Tehran. Israel has intensified attacks on Iran following the recent escalation. The US military has claimed strike on Iran's ballistic missile facilities in a video released by Central Command. US claimed Iran's ballistic missiles have been a dangerous threat for decades, a threat that is now being eliminated. US Central Command has also released video footage of strikes on Iran as part of Operation Epic Fury. US claims that these strikes will continue to eliminate imminent threats posed by the Iranian regime. Also, inferno at the docks, massive blaze breaks out at maritime facility near Akim Manama port following Iranian attack. Staying with Bahrain, the conflict fire has also spread to other Gulf nations. Drone attacks continue to be reported in Bahrain. The skyline shows a plume of smoke over the capital city. A huge fire reportedly ignited by an Iranian strike on a US naval facility at Bahrain Salman port. The port houses the US Navy's Central Command and 5th Fleet. Several people have been injured after an Iranian ballistic missile struck a road in West Jerusalem. Missiles could be seen bypassing air defenses in the city. This as Iran retaliated with a fresh wave of missile attacks on Israel. Multiple injuries have been reported. A direct ballistic missile strike in Jerusalem. Medical teams are seen in this video scanning the area for wounded. Multiple injuries reported.
Oh my God.
Iranian missile shrapnel also hit a vehicle while it was in motion in Jerusalem, leaving 7 people injured. One of them is serious. A police station in 104 in Tehran's Abbasabad district, a government building, was targeted in the recent US-Israeli strikes. The video shows the scale of destruction. Israel also targeted the Iran state broadcaster late night. Images show a ball of fire and smoke coming out of the building in Tehran. The broadcaster confirmed it had been struck. Major missile attacks were also reported in Tel Aviv. Israel's Iron Dome was in action as it intercepted the incoming missiles. Sirens blared across the city. Video coming from Tehran shows the damage to a hospital. Iran alleges that US-Israel strikes have targeted civilian areas. Iran rockets and projectiles also hit West Bank. Tehran has vowed harsh punishment in retaliation for the killing of Ayatollah Khamenei. The US Central Command has released a video of US B-2 stealth bombers armed with 2,000-pound bombs that struck Iran's hardened ballistic missile facilities. A US military base in Erbil in Iraqi Kurdistan has reportedly been attacked by Iran. The theater of the Middle East war continues to expand. A new video shows Iranian 136 drone flying through Dubai skyline. That's the number of drones that you can see, some of them on your screens there. Iran has been launching drone attacks in Dubai through the night. Satellite images accessed by NDTV show at least 2 separate fires in Dubai. Iran has been using drone strikes to hit key ports and buildings in Dubai. Meanwhile, anti-US protests continue to rage on in Shia countries. In Baghdad, the protests in support of Khamenei also turned violent. A new video from Karachi, Pakistan shows US personnel opening fire on protesters who try to storm the consulate. After Khamenei's killing, at least 9 people have been killed. All right, we brought you those visuals. We brought you the large-scale impact of this conflict, which has entered its third day. But now I want to show to you, when it comes to the retaliatory strikes, the impact to the Middle East at this point. We're going to pull up that map for you. Iran has attacked parts of the Middle East. You can see Israel, Jordan, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE. Now, these are retaliatory strikes on this entire region. As you can see, of course, they've all come out to condemn these attacks, but that's the latest in terms of the widespread attacks, attacks by Iran at this point in the Middle East. This could redefine the red lines within the region. All right, now Iran has released footage of its drone arsenal and launches towards US-Israeli targets in the region. This is coming in from Press TV. The images and the video that you see on your screens, this is part of its arsenal that it is using to target both the United States of America, their bases in the Middle East region, as well as targets within Israel. Ghazali is joining me live. Ghazali, we can see that propaganda video that Iran has put out claiming that this is the ammo, this is the arsenal being used against both the United States of America as well as Israel.
See, misinformation, counter-information, this will float from both sides, and Press TV has been releasing such footage. First we got that footage of F-15 getting shot down, then reports emerged that perhaps it's a friendly fire which led to that incident in Kuwait, and now this arsenal video from Iranian side, perhaps to boost the morale of the of its own people over there, that despite the top leader getting eliminated, and despite US reports confirming or suggesting that they have limited arsenal which can go for a few days, Iran also wants to send out a message that it is there for a long haul, and this is what we are picking up, because Iran's strategy right now is to keep targeting the maritime trade routes, the financial centers, and that is why every now and then we are hearing the reports or sounds of explosions from different countries in Middle East, and it is all those either ports, airspace, or the financial centers in UAE, Kuwait, and Qatar. So Iran is trying to perhaps put more pressure on the Middle Eastern partners or neighborhood to force US to come to the negotiating table, rather than showing that Iran wants to initiate the negotiation.
But Ghazali, the point here also is that this is not Venezuela when it comes to US President Donald Trump, something that perhaps a lot of experts have also weighed in on. This is Iran, it's in survival mode, and it's vowed that it's not only going to be retaliating to those strikes, but it will be eliminating the enemy, and this should continue to be a worry. Forget the propaganda video for now, but that is the bottom line as we speak. These tensions are spiraling, the conflict is spiraling, and Iran is in no mood to give in.
Certainly, because any analyst or a strategist who thought that perhaps just killing Mr. Khamenei in Iran would bring a regime change without having any boots on the ground is not looking very likely in the next coming days, because it's been 2-3 days since US and Israel jointly attacked Iran, and after that it was perhaps expected that people will come out on the street. It will be more like a situation what we saw in Iraq with Mr. Saddam Hussein, or what we saw in Libya with Gaddafi, but that has not happened here. IRGC or the Iranian forces are still in command. Perhaps some of the top commanders have been killed, but the chain of command or through which the instructions are being passed on is still existing there. We have Iranian foreign minister admitting that that though there is some discrepancy or when it comes to passing on the instruction, there are some independent decisions which are being taken by the IRGC, but the transition of this entire leadership in Iran, which was expected that perhaps the chain has been broken after Mr. Khamenei's death, it still looks intact. There were protests, there were people who were rejoicing his death, but there were enough number of people who are mourning also for the death of Mr. Khamenei. So perhaps that is why after 3 days of this attack, US and its allies as well as Iran, they're all looking towards the negotiating table.
Ghazali, you're going to stay with me. We're just going to play out that video that has been released by Iran. It's been released by Press TV. Ghazali, while we put out that propaganda video as well by Iran, what is to be noted here is while they claim that their targets are essentially US bases in and around the region, the civilian casualties also mounting at this point.
Yes, civilian casualties mounting in every country. We have reports from Qatar, we had reports from Kuwait. Israel obviously is facing a major brunt of that. Many deaths have been reported from there as well. But this is a direct ploy of Iran. The intention is to keep attacking every country. Maybe the frequency will reduce in the coming days as the clamor grows louder for more negotiations. But there is not even one single West Asian country over there which has not come under attack from Iran. Perhaps Oman was one till yesterday, because it appeared that Oman had started these negotiations between US and Iran. So perhaps it will be saved from these attacks, but it has also come under attack. So perhaps the entire point of these attacks from Iran is to continuing to keep pushing for negotiations and not also appear as if they initiated the negotiations. So it's more about perception that in the eyes of its own people, it should not look that Iranian regime has weakened and they are looking for peace talks. But on the simultaneously, they will keep continuing the attacks in the neighborhood on the US bases as they claim, but it is also ending up creating a lot of casualties.
Right, Ghazali, do stay with me. We want to just take our viewers through this latest video that has been released by Iran at this point. Ghazali reporting on it. Ghazali, also, this is a survival game for Iran at this point. They have lost their leader, their supreme leader, but there is a chain of command for now, while a formal chain of command needs to be established, but that's not taking away from the aggression and the claims they're making at this point.
We can't dispute the intelligence. Largely, the intelligence of US and Israel has not sort of produced any fake reports, because Israel and US had only initially said that we are getting reports that Mr. Khamenei has been killed in the morning attack on day one, which Iran kept sort of negating, or Iran kept denying it till the late evening. But there is also other side of the story is that martyrdom is celebrated in that particular country and community. So even if the supreme leader is killed, that is something which is being celebrated, and even if there are top leaders have been killed, the chain of command still exists. The foreign ministers is there. Top IRGC commanders who were very close to Khamenei have replaced the ones who were killed in these operations. So Iran's army, or what you call the IRGC and other forces, are still in place. There has been no defection as per the US reports. There has been no defection in any of these forces in Iran. So perhaps the attacks will continue as long as they have this arsenal in their command.
Ali, thanks for joining me live. All right, there's been a big warning to Hezbollah by Israel. Israel's big warning to Hezbollah at a time when the strikes can be seen also taking place against Hezbollah in the region. We just are bringing you images as well. Remember, the casualty figure has gone up in Lebanon as well. This remains an intense conflict that continues to spread over the region, and now we have a warning coming in from Israel.
מערכה התקפית מול חיזבאללה, אנחנו לא רק בהגנה, אנחנו יוצאים עכשיו להתקפה. צריך להיערך למספר יממות של לחימה רבות מאוד. צריך היערכות הגנתית חזקה והיערכות התקפית מתמשכת עכשיו בגלים כל הזמן, וכמובן כל הזמן ניצול הזדמנויות. אנחנו פתחנו במערכה התקפית מול חיזבאללה, אנחנו לא רק בהגנה, אנחנו יוצאים עכשיו להתקפה. צריך להיערך למספר יממות של לחימה רבות מאוד. צריך היערכות הגנתית חזקה והיערכות התקפית מתמשכת עכשיו בגלים כל הזמן, וכמובן כל הזמן ניצול הזדמנויות. אנחנו פתחנו במערכה התקפית מול חיזבאללה, אנחנו לא רק בהגנה, אנחנו יוצאים עכשיו להתקפה. צריך להיערך למספר יממות של לחימה רבות מאוד. צריך היערכות הגנתית חזקה והיערכות התקפית מתמשכת עכשיו בגלים כל הזמן, וכמובן כל הזמן ניצול הזדמנויות. אנחנו פתחנו במערכה התקפית מול חיזבאללה, אנחנו לא רק בהגנה, אנחנו יוצאים עכשיו להתקפה. צריך להיערך למספר יממות של לחימה, רבות מאוד.
All right, so that's the IDF chief warning the Hezbollah at a time when Israeli strikes on Lebanon have killed at least 31 people and wounded about 149. The Lebanese Health Ministry has come out with those figures as Israel's military threatened to intensify its attacks following the Hezbollah rocket fire. You have that big warning coming out to Israel as expected from the IDF chief, who has said be prepared for many days of fighting. Well, that doesn't only hold for Israel and Lebanon, it holds for the entire region, given that no stakeholder is blinking first. We've entered the third day of this conflict that is widening by the hour. Also, the Lebanon ministry in its statement has said that Israeli enemy raids on Beirut's southern suburbs in southern Lebanon have resulted in an initial count in the killing of 31 citizens and wounding of 149 citizens as well. The Israeli military had launched strikes on Lebanon, including the capital Beirut, to target militants, is what Lebanon has said on Monday after Tehran-backed Hezbollah fired rockets at Israel in response to the killing of the Iranian supreme leader. Ghazali, back with us. Ghazali, that warning coming from the IDF chief.
Yeah, so IDF has been warning the residents of Beirut that maybe there will be more incoming strikes if Hezbollah continues to strike Israel. So Israel finally getting back to the same 2023 war mode where it was facing attack from Houthis, was facing attack from Iraqi militias, or what Israel often calls the seven front war. So on this front, till yesterday it was just Iran which was attacking 7 countries in Middle East. Now Israel will have to counter a similar kind of say hostility from its closest neighbor by Hezbollah in Lebanon. From Lebanese side, the attacks started happening early morning. Israel also reacted, and retaliatory strikes were done on urban areas in Beirut, and Israel claimed that perhaps those were the command centers or weapons storehouses for Hezbollah. It also claims that top leadership of Hezbollah has yet again been killed in these attacks. But the overall story is that how far or how long will this continue? Whether Hezbollah will continue to keep striking Israel in the northern area, on the northern border of Israel, or will it not escalate the situation? Because last time when Hezbollah escalated the situation, it ended up seeing loss of leadership with Hassan Nasrallah, the secretary of Hezbollah, the biggest leader, one of the biggest faces of Hezbollah, who was killed in a major strike by Israel in Lebanon. So right now the situation is very fluid. Everybody is looking at United States whether they will go for negotiations or not. Trump is also giving very conflicting statements. There is no timeline of the war. Perhaps the objective of this entire war was to have regime change. That hasn't happened. They expected perhaps people to get onto the streets for general uprising and overthrow the entire Iranian regime. That has not happened. The religious leadership is still intact. Their parliament is still intact. People close to Mr. Khamenei are still alive. There are more people who are mourning than people who were rejoicing his death. So amid all this fact, and Iran continues to attack most of those Middle Eastern countries, amid this, Hezbollah has also joined in.
And that's the worry at this point, viewers. The proxy war also that has started at this point, which in itself is a parallel war against the stakeholders here and could be extremely worrying for the US as well as Israel. Now, Hezbollah has joined in Iran in the war with Israel. Conflict is spreading to Lebanon as IDF strikes Hezbollah after an attack on Israel. Israel launched a barrage of strikes in Lebanon's capital, Beirut, after the Hezbollah fired missiles across the border. The IDF has also hit weapons storage facilities and additional infrastructure of the terrorist organization Hezbollah in several areas in Lebanon. Meanwhile, the head of Hezbollah's parliamentary faction, Mohammad Raad, has been killed during IDF strikes, and Israeli air attacks on Lebanon have killed at least 31 people, wounding close to 150. Beirut's airport road also has been destroyed in the Israeli attacks. People have been seen fleeing Beirut's southern suburbs. Massive pile of cars there that you can see back to back in the area after Israeli strikes hit the area. In a statement, Israel has said that they have targeted senior Hezbollah figures in Beirut. You just heard from the IDF chief as well. Now, US President Donald Trump made a big comment on the killing of Iran's supreme leader, asserting that he moved first to neutralize what he described as an imminent threat to his own life. He claimed, and I'm going to quote him here, "I got him before he got me. They tried twice, well, I got him first," unquote, apparently referring to a 2024 Iran-linked plot that US authorities had earlier said was aimed at assassinating the United States of America president. Trump further asserted that the war with Iran can go on for the next 4 weeks, as Iran is a big country.
We cannot allow a nation that raises terrorist armies to possess such weapons, would allow them to extort the world to their evil will. Not going to let it happen. These actions are right and they are necessary to ensure that Americans will never have to face a radical, bloodthirsty terrorist regime armed with nuclear weapons and lots of threats. I once again urge the Revolutionary Guard, the Iranian military, police, to lay down your arms and receive full immunity or face certain death. It will be certain death.
Well, allies of the US also bearing the brunt when it comes to this conflict in the Middle East. The latest that we're getting for you is Iran has struck an oil refinery in Saudi Arabia. This is an oil refinery in Tas Tanura in Saudi Arabia. Ghazali is going to join us shortly to bring you more details on this development. Ghazali, just bring us the developments in terms of this news that we're sharing with our viewers. Like I said, you have allies of the stakeholders on both sides clearly bearing the brunt. In this case, this time, once again, it's Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, while Saudi Arabia, a foreign publication report suggested that perhaps Saudi Arabia and Israel kept pushing Mr. Trump to attack Iran, while in public Saudi kept talking about de-escalation. And it was expected that perhaps Iran will avoid attacking Saudi Arabia. Till yesterday, in his strong worded comments, Saudi Arabia was also issuing a statement saying that perhaps Iran should not attack our brotherly Arab countries. And today the reports are coming that one of its oil refineries, Aramco oil refineries in Ras Tanura, has been attacked by Iranian drones. So first major attack, though what I'm picking is that it's a limited attack. The fire was there, but that has been controlled by the authorities. But in symbolic terms, it's a big attack, because last time oil refinery in Saudi Arabia was attacked, it was by the Houthis in Yemen. So it's a direct attack from Iran. We are still not sure if it is just Iran which is attacking the oil refinery, or its allies or its proxies in the Middle East, be it Hezbollah in Lebanon or the Houthis in Yemen. So that is still unclear, but Iran perhaps is involved in this particular attack. Its Shahed drones are involved in attacking or striking those oil refineries in Ras Tanura area near Riyadh.
All right, Ghazali, thanks for joining me live there. I want to introduce our guests also who are joining us on this rolling coverage on the crisis and the conflict in the Middle East. We have Ariel Kahana, diplomatic commentator, Israel Ayom Daily, joining me live from Jerusalem. And we have Ali Dirios, associate professor, Taub University, joining me live from Turkey at this point. I'm going to start with you, Ariel. I want to understand from you what is going on around you before we get into obviously the details and the brass tacks of this entire issue that we are discussing, and our rolling coverage continues on this. You are in Jerusalem. I want to understand from you what you've seen around you since the early hours of this morning.
Good morning, Vedika from Jerusalem. Yes, we just an hour ago, we were going to the shelters because another Iranian missile was shot at our neighborhood, at our area. We have to take cover to be safe, and thanks to God, my family and myself and my neighbors are all okay. No one was injured in the last attack by Iran. But this attack comes after a quiet night, which means the Iranians are shooting way less than what they used to do in the first days or in the previous operation we had against them. It brings me to tell you that Iran is way, way weaker that what it used to be a year ago, a half year ago, including the proxies, Hezbollah or Hamas, are way weaker. Actually, Hamas is not shooting at all in this round. Hezbollah was shooting last night, as you described before. Hezbollah tonight joins the war, but again, they are way weaker. And regarding Iran itself, their skies are open for our airplanes to attack. We had in the first round, the Israeli had 200 aircrafts attacking Iran. Of course, we have the United States with us. So it's not only Israel in this front, it's the United States. Maybe Arab countries will now join because Iran is attacking everyone in the neighborhood, actually. So I feel we are in a much better place, not only for Israel, but actually for the entire world. Iran is a danger. I mean, this regime is a danger to the entire world. Just guess if they would have a nuclear weapon, what would happen to the world?
To stay with me, Ali, thank you for joining me here on Breaking Ground. The worry for Israel and the US should also be the proxies in this conflict.
Yes, hello. And first of all, I would like to wish Ariel to be safe, and I wish peace in the region. And yes, well, I do agree with him that Iran has been weakened, especially with the view of the proxies. But yesterday, something important, Hezbollah has entered the game, not only vis-a-vis Israel, but also vis-a-vis Cyprus. There was an attempt of an attack on a British base, sovereign British base on the island of Cyprus. And Cyprus, which is, as many of you may or may not know, some of the viewers, is an issue between Turkey and the Greek Security Administration and Greece and the EU. But it is also an EU member state. So Cyprus, so EU territory, from the perspective of the European Union, has been now subject to one of the proxies attacks, and that has been a warning sign, especially for Turkey is concerned, of the possibilities of this conflict expanding broader into the region. We've already had 7 countries in the Middle East, plus Lebanon yesterday, that have been involved. Also, of course, Israel has been attacked. Beirut has been bombed, and we've seen other countries, in more than 7, sorry. We have United Arab Emirates. So we are really worried that this can become an even broader regional conflict. And my worry is that the 4 days or a couple of days has already been announced as becoming 4 months, possibly, by President Trump. And my worry is that those 4 months will 4 weeks will become 4 months, and that can even drag on longer because regime change is a risky business. And as far as many people in Turkey are concerned, or academics, you do need the consent and the will of the people to have a regime change. You cannot superimpose it. And it's only up to the Iranian people to change their own regime.
Right, but Ariel, I want to come back to you and I want to understand from you. We know that Iran has entered a survival mode, but it's not Venezuela, and US and Israel should be aware of it. I mean, this is a country that has survived so much. It's had the supreme leader at the top for decades. It's had clarity in many ways on how to take on its enemies. So this is not a Venezuela that can be taken over easily.
You're right. And actually, from Israeli point of view, there are 2 goals over here. The first one, and hopefully it will be succeed, is to change the regime. But as my colleague just said, it's not easy, and no one can guarantee that it will be possible to change the regime, to topple this extreme Shia regime in Iran. But there is another goal, and that is to eliminate their military capabilities, because we see what they do now. They attack, again, everyone in the Middle East, okay? Including Cyprus, as you just mentioned. By the way, there is a new update I just got from my paper, which Turkey closed the borders with Iran, probably because of the risk to Turkey itself. So we have now the entire region burning because of Iran. Just imagine what would happen if we would wait 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and let them have much more missiles, much more drones, and even nuclear weapon. That's what we had here on the table. And that's why, in my opinion, President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu's decision to go and to be the first to attack Iran was so important, because it's for the sake of the Middle East, it's for the sake of the world, actually, for the free world. And hopefully, and again, that's another goal, hopefully it will bring also freedoms and democracy to Iran one day, hopefully.
Do stay with me, gentlemen, because I want our viewers to also understand that the American B-2 Spirit stealth bombers were at the center of the strikes in Iran. U.S. Central Command has confirmed that Iran's ballistic missile infrastructure was by B-2 bombers in a long-range mission. Now, the bombers reportedly departed from Widening Air Force Base in Missouri, flying nearly 37 hours to reach their targets. Officials say multiple guided munitions, including bunker-penetrating variants like the GBU-31 fitted with BLU-109 warheads, were used to strike what CENTCOM described as hardened ballistic missile facilities. This follows last year's large-scale mission dubbed Operation Midnight Hammer, where U.S. forces deployed 7 B-2 bombers in coordinated strikes on key nuclear facilities, including Fordo and Natanz. Now, the B-2 Spirit remains one of the most advanced stealth bombers in the world, designed to penetrate heavily defended airspace and strike strategic targets with precision, reinforcing Washington's message that long-range deterrence remains firmly intact. Okay, this is something that we were expecting. What you see on your screens is the shock from the West Asia war. We're being told that the Sensex has plummeted about 1,100 points. We were expecting this after this weekend of conflict, and that's what we have for you. Gauri will be joining us shortly, but the impact will be intense for the coming days, given now that you have the US President Donald Trump also coming out and stating that this conflict could go on for a while because of what is on in the Middle East. No side blinking first. This is the third day of the conflict on the ground, and the Sensex now plummeting, the markets coming down with 1,100 points. This is, of course, going to remain to be a worry. We are going to bring you all the details from the markets as well, but you have the impact being widespread at this point, with the stock markets tanking 1,100 points. This is as the conflict intensifies. You also have the worry of crude prices being hit and being impacted at this point, but crude prices are surging. Gauri, the impact could be long drawn, given what the President of the United States has also said earlier today, that this could be a protracted conflict.
Indeed, and it's very significant, Vedika, in terms of just how sharply the reactions have come in. The Sensex, the last I checked, was almost about 1,450 points down. The Nifty is also significantly impacted, even as oil prices have climbed. And, you know, this also is indicative of just how much investor sentiment, market sentiment has been impacted. When it comes to India, our impact is on three fronts. First and foremost, India is a country that imports 85% of its energy needs, 40% of which come from Strait of Hormuz. That has been closed by Iran. So that means that where do we get our energy in terms of our overall energy security? That's a key concern, and that is being reflected in the sentiment that is there on the markets. The second important aspect that one needs to point out is, because we import and we pay in dollars, the moment the currency gets impacted, we end up paying more. Obviously, in such a volatile situation, currency markets do get impacted. So the moment Indian rupee becomes gets devalued against the American dollar, it will cost us more to buy the exact same amount of oil. And that is again something that is being reflected in the tentativeness and negativity in the markets. And the third important point I want to point out is that global supply lines are at risk right now. What Houthis, Hezbollah and Hamas, apart from several other terror outfits in the region, have capability of is to strike shipping lines in the entire Red Sea, all of which they are not just capable of, but have indicated their intent to do so, which is why there is now a huge amount of concern globally and is being reflected in India as well.
Gauri, thanks for joining us live. That this continues to remain a worry, not only for India, Gauri, at this point, but across the world, given the region that we're talking about, the conflict that continues and will continue with the aggression that we're seeing on both ends of this conflict. Moving on now, in Dubai, drones were seen flying over residential areas for a second day in a row. Footage has emerged which showed an Iranian drone flying over Dubai. Satellite images also showed a plume of smoke over Dubai. What is significant is that the UAE has now shut stock markets for 2 days. Both Abu Dhabi Securities Exchange and Dubai financial markets have been closed. The move is aimed at containing the financial fallout of this conflict. The UAE has also summoned Iranian ambassador, calling strikes by Iran as terrorist assaults. UAE has demanded an urgent end to hostilities, adding that they responded to right to respond. From Dubai and Abu Dhabi to Sharjah, several key sites appear to have been targeted, underlining the widening scope of Iranian strikes across the UAE. Now, NDTV Profit's managing editor, Tamanna Inamdar, also spoke to Samir Arora, founder and fund manager for Helios Capital, who is based out of Dubai, on what the situation is on the ground there.
Samir, thank you so much for speaking with us, and we'll talk about a variety of things. I noticed the blinds are shut behind you, but I assume that the view is fine and everything is safe and sound.
No. I didn't want to close the blinds. Actually, behind is Burj Tower, but the light is so strong. Otherwise, I don't want this very boring background that I have.
You should just open it.
I don't mind opening it.
Yeah, open it. Give us. Open it and give us at least a peek of what the Burj is looking like.
But you won't be able to see, na.
We'll see it for a second. We're seeing it for a second, and it's good, Samir, because that's what happens in the world of social media, right? Everyone is thinking, oh, the Burj was attacked. You're sitting there with the Burj behind you.
And the Burj is here, and we paid extra for this view, of course, before we knew that this is happening.
I hope your current hotel stays comped, because I believe the Dubai government has done that for everyone, which I thought was a fantastic gesture.
No. It's been done by Abu Dhabi only, not by Dubai.
Okay, you don't need it, Samir. It's okay. You can enjoy the view of the Burj and pay for it.
We'll continue with all the updates and rolling coverage on the story here on NDTV in Breaking Ground, which is the conflict in West Asia. And moments from now, slip into a short break.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand. Motorola Signature, India's #1 camera phone. Grab Motorola Signature today.
माही कोई कूल बैंक सजेस्ट करो ना जो सोशली कॉन्शियस।
फिर तो SBI कूलेस्ट है।
Really?
SBI ने
आपको शायद पता नहीं होगा, अपार ने INS विक्रांत के लिए 150 से ज्यादा तरह के केबल्स बनाए हैं। देश के टॉर्पीडोस में भी हैं अपार के केबल्स। वंदे भारत भी अपार के केबल से ही स्पीड पकड़ती है और यही वायर्स और केबल्स हमारे घरों को भी पावर करते हैं। विश्वास इसमें अपार, तभी तो ये है देश का तार।
करियर से अर्ली रिटायरमेंट हो या नए करियर की शुरुआत, रहो दोनों के लिए रेडी। PNB MetLife रिटायरमेंट प्लान्स के साथ लॉक करें 10.2% guaranteed annuity rate for life. PNB MetLife, always ready for life.
After the roaring success in Delhi, Hyderabad and Mumbai, the NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am now travels to Ahmedabad. India's finest professionals, the city's most accomplished business leaders. Great golf, great company. NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am. The course of champions, the conversation of leaders. 8th March, Kalhar Blues and Greens, Ahmedabad.
इनको यहाँ से जाना ही होगा।
जय मां दुर्गा! आज क्यों रोए?
There is no bigger battle in 2026. And nobody has reported Bengal like I have. Buckle up for an unforgettable election thriller. Will the BJP breach Mamta's fortress?
TMC जावे, BJP आसमे.
Can Didi fight off her life's biggest challenge?
BJP double engine সরকার এই লড়াই বাঁচতে হবে.
Battleground Bengal with Manogya Loiwal.
7 American bases in the entire Middle East as part of the 6th wave.
G7 बैठक में उन्होंने मेरा और मेरी डेलीगेशन का गर्मजोशी से स्वागत किया था. आज उसी आत्मीयता से उनका स्वागत करना मेरे लिए सौभाग्य की बात है. दुनिया में बहुत कम लोग हैं जिनके सीवी में 2 देशों की सेंट्रल बैंकिंग लीडरशिप लिखी हो. हमारी पहली बैठक से ही हमारे संबंधों में एक नई ऊर्जा, परस्पर विश्वास और सकारात्मकता आई है. सहयोग के हर क्षेत्र में बढ़ते मोमेंटम का श्रेय मैं अपने मित्र प्रधानमंत्री कार्नी को देता हूं. फ्रेंड्स, भारत और कनाडा लोकतांत्रिक मूल्यों में अटूट विश्वास रखते हैं. हम डाइवर्सिटी को सेलिब्रेट करते हैं. मानवता की भलाई हमारा साझा विजन है. यही विजन हमें हर क्षेत्र में आगे बढ़ने की प्रेरणा देता है. आज हमने इस विजन को नेक्स्ट लेवल पार्टनरशिप में ट्रांसफॉर्म करने पर चर्चा की. हमारा लक्ष्य है कि 2030 तक हमारा व्यापार $50 बिलियन तक पहुंचे. आर्थिक सहयोग का पूरा पोटेंशियल अनलॉक करना यह हमारी प्राथमिकता है. इसलिए हमने कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक पार्टनरशिप एग्रीमेंट को जल्द ही फाइनलाइज करने का निर्णय लिया है. इससे दोनों देशों में निवेश और रोजगार के नए अवसर बनेंगे. कनाडा के पेंशन फंड्स ने भारत में $100 बिलियन का निवेश किया है. यह भारत की ग्रोथ स्टोरी में उनके गहरे विश्वास का प्रतीक है. आज हमें दोनों देशों के बिजनेस लीडर से भी मिलेंगे. उनके सुझाव हमारी आर्थिक साझेदारी का रोड मैप तय करेंगे. फ्रेंड्स, टेक्नोलॉजी और इनोवेशन में हम नेचुरल पार्टनर हैं. विथ कनाडा एंड इंडिया इनोवेशन पार्टनरशिप वी विल टर्न आइडियाज इनटू ग्लोबल सॉल्यूशंस. पिछले महीने भारत में हुई एआई इम्पैक्ट समिट की सफलता में कनाडा के बहुमूल्य योगदान के लिए मैं प्रधानमंत्री कार्नी का आभार व्यक्त करता हूं. हम एआई के साथ साथ क्वांटम, सुपर कंप्यूटिंग और सेमीकंडक्टर्स में सहयोग बढ़ाएंगे. क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स पर आज हुआ एमओयू रिजिलियंट सप्लाई चेन्स को मजबूती देगा. स्पेस सेक्टर में हम दोनों देशों के स्टार्टअप्स और इंडस्ट्रीज को जोड़ेंगे. फ्रेंड्स, प्रधानमंत्री कार्नी के लिए एनवायरमेंट कोई अलग एजेंडा नहीं बल्कि इकोनॉमिक स्टेबिलिटी का हिस्सा रहा है. ऊर्जा के क्षेत्र में हम नेक्स्ट जनरेशन पार्टनरशिप बना रहे हैं जिसमें हाइड्रोकार्बन के साथ साथ रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी, ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन और एनर्जी स्टोरेज पर विशेष बल दिया जाएगा। हमें खुशी है कि कनाडा ने इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस और ग्लोबल बायोफ्यूल अलायंस से जुड़ने का निर्णय लिया है। हमारे साझा प्रयासों को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए हम इस वर्ष इंडिया कनाडा रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी एंड स्टोरेज समिट आयोजित करेंगे। सिविल न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी में हमने लॉन्ग टर्म यूरेनियम सप्लाई की लैंडमार्क डील की है। हम स्मॉल मॉड्यूलर रिएक्टर्स और एडवांस रिएक्टर्स पर भी मिलकर काम करेंगे। कृषि में वैल्यू एडिशन, एग्री टेक्नोलॉजी और खाद्य सुरक्षा हमारी साझा प्राथमिकताएं हैं। इस दिशा में भारत में इंडिया कनाडा पल्स प्रोटीन सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस स्थापित किया जाएगा। फ्रेंड्स, रक्षा और सुरक्षा के क्षेत्र में बढ़ता सहयोग हमारे गहरे आपसी विश्वास और संबंधों की मैच्योरिटी का प्रतीक है। हम डिफेंस इंडस्ट्रीज, मैरीटाइम डोमेन अवेयरनेस और मिलिट्री एक्सचेंजेस बढ़ाने पर काम करेंगे। इसी उद्देश्य से आज हमने इंडिया कनाडा डिफेंस डायलॉग की स्थापना करने का निर्णय लिया है। फ्रेंड्स, पीपल टू पीपल टाइज हमारे संबंधों की असली ताकत है। आज हमने इन्हें और मजबूत करने के लिए कई महत्वपूर्ण निर्णय लिए हैं। एआई, हेल्थ केयर, एग्रीकल्चर और इनोवेशन में आज कई यूनिवर्सिटीज के बीच नई पार्टनरशिप की घोषणा हो रही है। हम कनाडा की यूनिवर्सिटी द्वारा भारत में कैंपस खोलने पर भी सहमत हुए। इंडिजिनस और ट्राइबल कम्युनिटीज हमारी साझा सांस्कृतिक विरासत का महत्वपूर्ण हिस्सा है। सांस्कृतिक आदान प्रदान बढ़ाने के लिए दोनों पक्षों के बीच आज एमओयू किया गया है। फ्रेंड्स, भारत के लिए कनाडा इंडो पैसिफिक में महत्वपूर्ण साझेदार है। इंडियन ओशन रिम एसोसिएशन में डायलॉग पार्टनर बनने में उनकी रुचि का हम स्वागत करते हैं। इससे हमारे मैरीटाइम सहयोग को नई गहराई मिलेगी। हम सहमत हैं कि टेररिज्म, एक्सट्रीमिज्म और रेडिकलाइजेशन दोनों देशों के लिए ही नहीं, पूरी मानवता के लिए साझा और गंभीर चुनौतियां हैं। इनके विरुद्ध हमारा करीबी सहयोग वैश्विक शांति और स्थिरता के लिए अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण है। विश्व में चल रहे अनेक तनावों को लेकर भारत की सोच